A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's roll.
Let's go. Firefighters. Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a minute, we'll join Tim Collins, rookie fireman, in the office of Chief Cody, where Tim has gone to get the chief's advice on how to help his cousin, chief of the Upper Falls Volunteer Brigade, combat the destructive fires that are devastating the countryside. But before we join Tim, here is some information you'll want to hear. Let's go, firefighters. Let's go to Chief Cody's office at Fire Department headquarters, where Tim Collins, who has just hurried into town from the village of Upper Falls, is in conference with the chief. Only a moment ago, you remember, Tim was admitted to the chief's private office.
Private Collins reporting, sir.
Collins, what are you doing in town? You're supposed to be on furlough.
Well, I think I have the key to that situation at Upper Falls, Chief.
Sit down, boy. Sit down.
Thank you, sir.
Collins, I didn't expect you to report here in person when I tried to call you at the farm.
You phoned me, sir?
Yes, your brother Jimmy took the call.
Oh, that's funny. He didn't give me any message.
He said something about a fire. Said an alarm had been rung in.
Oh, yes, Chief. The schoolhouse was on fire. I came direct from the fire, left Cousin Ellery trying to find out what caused it, and I haven't seen Jimmy since then.
I suppose the schoolhouse was a total loss, Collins.
No, sir. No, sir. For once, the Upper Falls engine got there on time.
Well, that's progress. But what about water, Collins? I understand the wells and ponds are going dry.
Well, we carried our own water, sir. You see, the brigade has some of those backpacks.
Oh, yes, those packs they use for brush fires.
Yes, sir.
Man carries a can of water on his back.
Yes, sir, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
And this time, the pack extinguisher was enough to knock down the fire. So that gave me an idea.
Now, go on, Collins.
Well, Chief, out in the country, most times a backpack isn't enough to knock down a fire in a farmhouse. But a couple of 100 gallons of water would do it, if the men could be sure of having that water when they need it.
Right, Collins. We've got to figure some way to get water to the fire scene every time the Upper Falls Brigade turns out.
Yes, sir. I was hoping you'd have an idea, Chief, if I told you the situation Cousin Ellery is in. You see, tonight the volunteers have their meeting, and, well, I'm afraid he's finished as chief.
Collins, I think I know how to get water to the scene of any fire in Upper Falls.
Oh, what is it, Chief? Some new type of equipment?
You'll see. It's down below in the headquarters garage. And since your cousin is in a tight spot, I'll help you deliver this new equipment to Upper Falls tonight.
Hey, Mr. Chairman. Chief, I want the floor.
Tyler Bedlow wants to talk, boys. Let's have a little order, shall we? Order, please. Order, please.
Ellery, when in time are we going to get on with the business of this here meeting?
Well, now we've heard all the reports from officers. I guess old business is just about cleared up, Tyler.
Good. Then I got some new business to propose, Ellery.
Such as what, Tyler?
Such as it's time to inquire into whether or not us fellas in the Upper Falls Volunteer Fire Brigade ought to get us a new chief.
Mm-hmm. On what grounds, Tyler?
Well, you take that fire in the schoolhouse today.
Well, we put it out, didn't we? Saved the schoolhouse.
Maybe we did, but that fire now, how'd it get started? Mighty mysterious, seems to me. Yet I don't see you investigating or inquiring. Don't see you calling on the police to round up the youngsters that must have started it.
Uh-huh. And that's one of the duties of the chief, is it? Finding out how fires get started.
Why, of course it is, Ellery. And you just ain't made a move.
So the way you see it, I'm not filling my position as chief.
Well, no. Come to think of it, looks like us boys have got a case right there.
All right, then. At least now we've got a plain accusation right out in the open.
Yeah, and you can't answer it, Ellery.
I beg to differ.
Oh, boys, Pete and Jimmy, bring in the goldfish.
But goldfish?
That's what I said.
What in the name of...
Now, here you are, boys. Now, set it right down here. Right on the table. That's it. Now, you can run along home, Pete. Tell Ma I'll be late, and you and Jimmy get to bed.
Goldfish? Ellery Collins, what in time you up to now?
You ever see this tank before, Tyler?
Huh?
Now, set your mind to it now. A big glass bowl full of goldfish. Maybe 50, 60.
Goldfish? Now, let me see. Where'd the... Yeah, the schoolhouse. That's the glass tank from the schoolhouse.
Maybe you noticed it today at the fire tie. Maybe you noticed where it was setting.
Yeah, up in the southeast window. That's where it was setting. Well, what about it? If the teacher wants to keep a bunch of goldfish...
Now, there's this about it, Tyler. Maybe you noticed where the fire in the schoolhouse got its start.
Why, over on the back wall.
Uh-huh.
Over amongst the papers and stuff on the bookshelf.
And you want me to get some boys arrested for starting it. That right, Tyler?
Well, it stands to reason. All he had to do, just toss a match in amongst those papers and run like blazes.
Uh-huh. Only I'd hate to think of any of our boys would do a thing like that. Our boys, they just aren't that kind.
Well, somebody started that fire.
Yep, somebody did. These here goldfish, that's who.
Ellery Collins. I was fixing to get mad at you, but now I'm getting sorry. Why, you're crazy as a loon. Boys, the chief...
No, Tyler. Don't you remember?
Huh?
Don't you call to mind how we used to take a piece of glass, focus it so as the sunlight would set fire to something? Paper, maybe? Grass or twigs?
By jinx, you're right. So that's how the goldfish did it.
That's how they did it. Of course, they had help. Teacher set the big glass tank on the windowsill, and then along came a good, strong ray of sun, and
the goldfish tank... She focused the light on the papers way across the room until it took fire.
Well, Tyler, you want me to have the police arrest these here fish?
Oh, boys. Now, fellas, listen. Don't let him get us off the main track.
Hold on, boys. Hold on. Let's have some order.
I demand to be heard. Nothing ain't settled yet.
Well, now let's listen to Tyler, boys. He won't be satisfied till he nails my hide to the barn door. Let's give Tyler Bedlow the floor. Meanwhile, as Tyler Bedlow resumes his attack on Chief Ellery Collins, a strange and monstrous motor vehicle rumbles through the night toward the village of Upper Falls. Riding in the cab beside the driver are Chief Cody and Tim Collins. As the heavy machine dips downward from the crest of Hangover Hill, Tim points to the village below.
We're coming to Upper Falls, Chief Cody.
Not many lights are showing down there.
No, sir. Those you see are at the firehouse.
Good. The meeting must still be in progress, then.
Cousin Ellery was all set to make that meeting last. I promised I'd turn up with a good idea, but...
But you've done better. You've got the answer to the problem right here where the volunteers can see it.
Oh, their eyes will pop out of their heads, Chief. Now, watch the curve here, Mac. There's the firehouse, Chief.
Pull up in front of it, Mac.
Chief, shall I call the men from the firehouse?
No, let's have some fun with them. Oh, ring that bell, Mac.
What's that? Here they come, Chief. Swarming like wasps.
Let up, Mac. Mac, let up.
Hey, who's making that rumpus?
Hey, what's the idea?
Who are you, men? Step out here where we can see you.
It's only me, Cousin Ellery.
Oh, Ellery, it's that cousin of yours from the city.
Tim, I was hoping you'd turn up any minute, but is that Chief Cody?
Yeah, evening, Chief Collins.
Well,
just thought I'd help your cousin deliver this piece of apparatus.
That oil truck?
Ellery Collins, did you order that tank truck full of gasoline?
Why, Tyler, Chief Cody, last week in the city I said we wanted to buy a piece of apparatus.
I understood you wanted equipment that would help you fight these fires in the countryside.
Well, yes, but...
Well, there she is, on approval. Try her out. And if she does the trick, why, go ahead and buy her. Looks like city folks are crazier than I heard tell of, putting out fires with gasoline. Ellery, this'll just about finish you as chief of the Upper Falls Brigade.
Now, hold your horses, Tyler. I'm beginning to... Tim.
Right here, Ellery.
Tim, that gasoline truck, how much does she hold?
Oh, 1,000 gallons of liquid.
Yes, sir, Tyler. That tank carries 1,000 gallons of liquid. Not gasoline,
But water?
Yes, sir, and she's full of water right now, Ellery. Let her roll to a fire along with your engine, and you don't care if all the wells in Upper Falls dry up for good.
Ellery, tan my hide if you ain't solved our problem after all.
Chief Cody did, you mean? The chief and Cousin Tim.
Oh, that makes no never mind. You was in on it too, Ellery. Oh, you old fox.
No hard feelings, Tyler?
Hard feelings? Ellery, seems we're going to be able to protect our property from now on, I'm so happy I could holler my head off.
So there's an end to hard feelings in the fire brigade at Upper Falls. As Chief Cody and Tim Collins point out, that an ordinary tank truck carrying 1,000 gallons of water to the fire scene can protect property anywhere in the countryside, even when the season is so dry that streams and wells are drying up. But as Tim soon learns, the dry season brings a special danger to the woods and forests near Upper Falls. For his thrilling experience with a forest fire, listen to our next true-to-life episode of The Firefighters. In just a moment, Chief Bob Cody will tell you, boys and girls, how you can help the firefighters in your own town. But first, here's a message you ought to hear. And now, Chief Bob Cody with a special notice for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. This is your friend, Chief Cody, with a question for you to answer. Now, here it is. What do you think is the most common cause of outbreaks of fire? Well, I'll give you about 10 seconds to figure it out. You know about the hazards of rubbish in the cellar, faults in the electrical equipment, grease catching fire in the kitchen. But the most common hazard of all, have you figured it out? Is matches. That's right, common, ordinary matches, usually in connection with smoking. That's the chief cause of destructive fires. So keep it in mind and be careful. All right, so long for now.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's roll! Let's go! Firefighters! Firefighters is a copyrighted feature of William F. Holland Productions.
The Jack Benny Program, presented by Lucky Strike.
American.
LSMFT, Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Here's what independent tobacco experts say about the fine tobacco bought by the makers of Lucky Strike.
Mild tobacco with real flavor and mellowness. Tobacco you can't beat for top smoking enjoyment.
Floyd Clay, top flight tobacco warehouseman, said that.
Fine, ripe smoking leaf that makes a smooth, mild smoke. I've smoked Lucky's myself for 22 years.
Lucian Purdom, ace tobacco auctioneer, said that. Yes, friends, at auction after auction, independent tobacco experts can see the makers of Lucky Strike buy that fine, that light, that naturally mild tobacco. So for your own real deep-down smoking enjoyment, remember, LSMFT, Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Real Lucky Strike tobacco. So smoke that smoke of fine tobacco, Lucky Strike. So round, so firm, so fully packed, so free and easy on the draw.
The Lucky Strike program starring Jack Benny with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Rochester, Dennis Day, and yours truly, Don Wilson. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to this morning and look in on Jack Benny at his home in Beverly Hills.
Let's see. Maybe behind this chiffonier. I'll move it and look. Nope, not here. Maybe behind the sofa. Gee, not here either. Oh, Rochester!
Yes, boss?
Are you sure you hid the Easter eggs in this room? Huh?
Keep looking. You're getting warm.
Warm, huh? Oh, I know where you hid them. I'll bet you put the eggs in my violin case.
Your violin case?
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch that thing if I was full of penicillin.
Now, let's see. Oh, I know where they are. Rochester, hold this chair steady for me while I stand on it.
Okay.
Steady now. Yep. Yeah, here they are. 4 eggs.
Doggone, I never thought you'd find the ones I hid in the chandelier.
Rochester, I saw the Lost Weekend, too.
Yeah, but Miss Milan got a better payoff than you did.
I guess so. You know, Rochester, it was awfully nice of you to color and hide these eggs so I could have fun on Easter Sunday. What made you do it?
Well, last year I didn't, and when you got up in the morning, you cried your little blue eyes out.
I did not. I never cry. Nothing could upset me that much. What are you laughing at?
When Shirley Temple got married, you locked yourself in the room for 3 days.
Rochester.
And when you finally came out, you tore up all your pictures of Margaret O'Brien.
Oh, stop making up stories. Imagine me and Margaret O'Brien. She's young enough to be my daughter.
So was Theda Barrow, but that didn't slow you down.
Well, I've told you dozens of times that Theda and I were just good friends. Now, Rochester, I want you to take these 4 eggs and put them away from me.
But, boss, I hid 5 of them altogether.
5? Well, let's see. Maybe the other one is hidden behind the... I'll get her, Rochester. Maybe they're delivering my new car.
Hello, Jack.
Why, Mary, happy Easter. Come on in. Say, that's a good-looking Easter outfit you have on. And that hat.
You really like the hat, Jack?
Like it? Why, it looks beautiful on you.
If you think it looks good on me, you should have seen it on Tom Brenneman.
Tom Brenneman? Oh, did you go to his program, Breakfast in Hollywood?
Sure, I go all the time. I was even there the morning you won the orchid.
Oh, yeah. Gee, I'll never forget the look on the loser's face. Poor thing, she came all the way from Iowa. But, Mary, all dressed up in your Easter outfit. Where have you been?
Well, Jack, you know on Easter Sunday, most of the movie stars walk down Wilshire Boulevard, and I went along to see the parade.
Oh. You see any celebrities?
Oh, sure. I saw lots of them. I saw Bing Crosby.
Crosby, eh? Was Bing dressed up for Easter?
Was he? I've never seen him so formal. He was wearing patent leather shoes, gray spats, striped pants, and a cutaway pajama top.
Who else did you see on the boulevard, Mary?
Well, I saw Gary Cooper and his wife.
Uh-huh.
Mrs. Cooper was wearing a beautiful green dress with fox trim and gold accessories. She looked lovely.
And what was Gary wearing?
Brown shoes, tan slacks, and a light jacket.
Oh, did he have a hat on?
I couldn't tell. It was cloudy.
Oh.
And I saw Shirley Temple.
I'm not interested in her.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jack. I thought you'd forgiven her already. Now, let me think. Oh, yes, I saw Van Johnson.
Van Johnson?
Yes, and you know, Jack, I feel very sorry for the poor guy. Every step he took, he was followed by dozens of girls. They just kept trailing after him for miles.
For miles? My goodness, you think those silly kids would get tired?
Yeah. Jack, may I have a chair? My feet are killing me.
Here, Mary, you can sit in this armchair.
Thanks. Gee, it's good to sit in.
Hey, boss, Miss Livingston just found the other egg.
Well, hurry, Rochester. Get her a towel and... Never mind the towel. Just bring a handful of corn. You know, Mary, every Easter there's another... I'll get it, Rochester. That must be my new car. Phil!
Hiya, Jackson. Hello, Livy. Long time no see.
Hello, Curly.
Come on in. Say, Phil, we missed you in San Francisco.
I know. I heard the program.
What?
You need me, Jackson. You need me.
Phil.
Like Scotch needs soda, your program just don't fizz without the kid, Jackson.
Phil, I need you like a moose needs a hat rack. Believe me.
Anyway, you should have been up there with us, Phil. We had a wonderful time. San Francisco's such a swell town.
You don't have to tell me about Frisco, Livy. I organized my first band there.
You what, Phil?
I started my first band up there.
San Francisco sure gone through a lot. Your band and the earthquake. They can take it, can't they?
Gee whiz, I'll never forget my first band, Jackson. It was just a little 3-piece outfit of saxophone, piano, and drums. And then we added Frankie, my guitar player.
Say, Phil, how'd you happen to hire Frankie?
Well, we didn't exactly hire him. You see, we was playing at a wedding, and they couldn't afford to pay us, so they gave us the groom.
The groom? What happened to the bride?
Oh, she changed her name, started singing with some other band. I don't know.
Really? What's her name now?
Carmen Lombardo.
Phil, for your information, Carmen Lombardo is a man.
Well, maybe it was Carmen Miranda. I don't remember girls' names. I don't fool with dames no more. What do I know about it?
Can I get it, boss?
No, I better answer the door. I'm expecting my new car.
Hey, wait a minute, Jackson. I can't believe it. Did you buy a new car?
No, he entered Bob Hope's jingle contest.
Yeah.
Jack, you didn't send in that jingle you wrote.
Certainly, and I think it ought to win.
What was the jingle he wrote, Livy?
My favorite brunette, and I love him still, is Honest Abe on a $5 bill.
Well, I thought that was pretty good. Go ahead and answer it, Rochester.
Okay. Boss, it is your new car. It's a beautiful light gray color. Uh-oh, my mistake. It's Mr. Wilson in a new suit.
Well, steer him. Show him in, Rochester.
Hello, Jack, Mary, Phil.
Hello, Don.
Great, kid.
Gosh, Don, you sure look handsome in your Easter outfit.
Yeah, Dante, where'd you buy that nifty-looking suit?
Oh, same place I get all my clothes. At Hart, Schaffner, Marks, and O'Reilly.
All right. Don't you mean just Hart, Schaffner, and Marks?
When I buy a suit, they call in extra help.
That I can understand. The fellow who makes your pants was an engineer on Boulder Dam. But, Don, we were just talking about being up in San Francisco. Did you have a good time up there?
Oh, did I? You know, Jack, I love that town. They have the most wonderful restaurants and the best food in the world.
They certainly have.
I ate at John's Rendezvous, then I ate at the Tonga Room, then I ate at the Papagayo Room in the Fairmont, then I ate at Roberts and the Nugget, and then I ate at Omar Khayyam.
Gee.
And then on the second day, I ate at...
What?
The next day, I was eating at the Mark Hopkins, and right in the middle of dinner, they ran out of food.
The Mark Hopkins?
No, San Francisco.
Oh. Well, speaking of food has made me hungry. Hey, let's go out in the kitchen, kids, and get some sandwich.
What? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Rochester, those sandwiches were very good.
They certainly were.
Thanks. Mr. Wilson, would you like another bucket of coffee?
He's had enough. Now, look, Ted.
Isn't anybody going to say hello to me?
Oh, Dennis. Dennis, when did you come in?
Oh, I've been here all the time. I was standing behind Mr. Wilson's right leg.
Oh. Well, say, kid, I tried to reach you on the phone last night, but nobody answered. Where were you?
Oh, my mother took me to the circus.
Well, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, and you should see those girls on the flying trapeze. They wore tights.
Dennis, they always wear tights.
Say, those trapeze acts are dangerous. Did any of them fall?
No, I guess they were all buttoned up.
She didn't mean that.
Oh.
Hey, how is the circus this year, kid?
Oh, it's swell. In one act, they shot a man out of the cannon and he landed right in my mother's lap.
My God, what did your mother do?
She hung on to him and yelled, "I have a man in the balcony, doctor!"
Oh, boy. Dennis, wasn't your father there?
He was the one who aimed the cannon at my mother.
Oh, stop. Aim the cannon at his mother. Anything. They say anything.
Dennis, how'd you like the clowns?
Oh, they were all right, I guess.
What do you mean you guess? The clowns are big stars. They're very funny.
But how come they've only got one show?
Dennis, just because you and Phil have two shows doesn't mean that everybody has to have them.
Let me tell you something, Jackson. Hold it a minute. Not only have I got two shows, but while you were in San Francisco, I signed up to make a new picture.
A new picture, Phil? What's the name of it?
The Keg and I. Oh, Harris, you may not be Frederick March, but you're the best years of anybody's life.
Now I've heard everything. Phil, let me tell you something. You were only... Phil, you were only kidding about making a picture. I'd like to get a new cast sometime. But it may surprise you to know that right now there's a deal pending where I'm going to be starred in a picture for Samuel Goldwyn.
Samuel Goldwyn?
Yes. He makes great pictures, and he's the kind of a producer I want to be with.
I'll bet Mr. Goldwyn has to work very hard to support his family. He's got 30 daughters.
What?
The Goldwyn girls.
They're not his daughters, then. But anyway, Don, if this deal we're making comes through, it'll really be sensational. You know, Mr. Goldwyn is begging me to consider his offer.
Begging you?
What are you laughing at?
Well, tell him what happened yesterday when you were out to his studio.
Mary. Hey, what was it, Livy? Mary, if you open your mouth, I'll never tell you another thing again.
Come on, Mary, tell us what happened when Jack went out to see Mr. Goldwyn.
Well, about 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon, Rochester drove Jack out to the studio.
There's the main gate, Rochester. I'll get off here. Rochester, you wait right here in the car for me.
Boss, do you mind if I lean against that new Cadillac over there? It's good for my morale.
No, as long as you wait here. Gee, what a high-class studio. Look at the way they got Frederick March's picture plastered all over.
I beg your pardon, sir.
Huh?
You can't go through this gate without a pass.
A pass? Well, perhaps you don't recognize me. If you knew who you were talking to, you'd let me go right in.
Oh, no, I wouldn't, Mr. Benny.
Oh, well, maybe I have a pass in my wallet. I'll take a look.
Well?
Wait till I open it. There.
First time this year, Mr. Benny?
No. Now, let's see. Here's a pass for Warner Brothers. Here's one for Universal International. Here's one for Biograph. Oh, here's something I don't need anymore. See, my draft card. You know, you can tear them up now, you know.
You could have torn that one up in 1918.
You don't have to be so... Oh, wait a minute. Here it is. Gate pass to Samuel Goldwyn Studios.
Now, Mr. Goldwyn's office is right through that door. You go right down the hall and turn to the left.
Thank you. Da-da-dee-da-dum, da-dee-da-dum, da-dum, da-dee-da-da-dum. Oh, hello.
Hello, Mr. Benny.
Da-dum-dum-dee-da-dee-dee, bum-ba-bum. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Benny.
Dum-dee-da-dee-da-dum, dum-dee-da. Oh, hello.
Hello, Mr. Benny.
See, those Goldwyn girls are beautiful. Now, let's see. Gee, won't Mr. Goldwyn be surprised to see me? I hope he's... Oh, this must be his office here. I beg your pardon, miss, but is this Mr. Goldwyn's office?
Yes, sir.
Well, will you tell him that Mr. Benny is here to see him?
One moment, please. Mr. Goldwyn, Mr. Benny is here to see you. I'll find out. What is it you wish to see Mr. Goldwyn about?
A picture.
He wishes to see you about a picture. Yes, sir. He told me to give you one out of the top drawer. No. You misunderstood. You see, I want to talk to him about making a picture. You see, a movie. Oh, just a moment.
Yes.
Mr. Goldwyn, Mr. Benny wants to talk to you about making a picture. Yes, sir. Mr. Goldwyn is busy right now. Would you care to wait?
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Goodbye, Mr. Goldwyn.
Well, Hoagie Carmichael.
Hello, Jack.
Gosh, Hoagie, here I am waiting to go into the office, and you came out. I didn't know you were in there.
I've been in that Goldwyn's office since 10 o'clock this morning.
Since 10 o'clock this morning, eh? What were you doing in there all the time?
I was just trying to convince him that my name is Hoagie and not Hugo.
Oh, yes. It happened at the Academy Award ceremonies when Mr. Goldwyn accidentally called you Hugo instead of Hoagie, but it was just a slight mistake.
A slight mistake? Jack, for 25 years, I built up the name of Hoagie. Hoagie Carmichael. And it wasn't easy. I remember when I first started writing songs, I used to sit up nights, no food, hardly enough money to pay the rent. I was ready to quit, but my wife encouraged me. She said, Hoagie, you can do it. My mother encouraged me. She said, Hoagie, don't give up. My friends encouraged me, Hoagie, stick to it.
And they were right. I can remember those great songs. Stardust by Hoagie Carmichael. Lazy Bones by Hoagie Carmichael. Old Buttermilk Sky by Hoagie Carmichael. They were all great, Hoagie.
And who gets all the credit? Some no-talent jerk named Hugo.
Well, Hoagie, maybe I can help you.
Oh, I wish you would, Jack. All I am now is an unknown character with $1 million.
Whoops.
Did you say something, Jack?
No, it's just that when I hear figures like that, something happens in my stomach. You know?
You mean just because I said $1 million?
Whoops. I did it again. But getting back to you, Hoagie, don't worry. Hoagie, I'll clear up your name for you. I've got a big listening audience, and if you want to come on my program and do one of your songs, I'll let everybody know it was written by Hoagie Carmichael, not Hugo.
Gosh, if you do that, I'd be very grateful, Jack. I tell you what I'll do. I'll sing Old Buttermilk Sky with a special arrangement that will include your quartet, The Sportsmen.
My quartet? No, I don't think that would be...
Now, just a minute. I've got a copy of it right here. Let me show you what I mean. Try to visualize it, Jack.
What?
Well, here's the way it would go. The introduction starts with full orchestra. Old Buttermilk Sky, I'm a-keeping my eye peeled on you. What's a good word tonight? Are you gonna be mellow tonight?
Tonight, LSMFT. That's the cigarettes for Donzi and we. We're as happy as a Christmas tree, heading for the one we love.
I'm going to pop her the question, that question.
Wouldn't you like a lucky strike?
Yes, it'll be easy, so easy.
Well, that's the one that she will like.
LSMFT.
LSMFT.
They won't fail you when you're needing them most.
Oh, no.
Hang a package on her hitching post.
Lucky for the one you love, the one you love.
So round and so firm.
So round and so firm.
That's part of their churn.
That's part of their churn.
Will they be naturally mild tonight?
Yes, sir. Why, sure, you bet.
That's Lucky Strike. What do you think, Jack? Could you visualize what I'm telling you?
Could I? Hoagie, I could even hear the applause. That's a wonderful song. Hoagie, would you mind autographing that copy for me?
Oh, not at all.
Thanks.
So long, Jack.
So long. Gee, that was nice of Hoagie to... Well, what do you know? He signed it Hugo Carmichael. He really is confused, you know.
Mr. Goldwyn is waiting.
Oh, yes, thank you. Mr. Goldwyn?
Thanks.
Mr. Goldwyn?
Come right in.
Oh. Mr. Goldwyn, I hope you don't mind my breaking in without an appointment.
No. It's always nice to see you. Sit down, Bob.
No. See, my name is Jack Benny.
Oh, yes. Well, Jack, what can I do for you?
Mr. Goldwyn, I've come here to give you the greatest opportunity of your life.
Opportunity?
Yes. When I tell you what I've got in my mind, it'll make you the greatest producer in the motion picture industry. This is an opportunity that comes only once.
Pardon me. Hello. Hello, Fame Home magazine? Yes, I produced the best years of our lives. Yes, that picture won 9 awards. For the best picture, for direction, for editing, for musical score, for story, for best actor, for best supporting actor, a special award for Harold Russell, and also the Tolbert Award. That's right. Thank you very much. Now, Jack, what was this opportunity you were going to give me?
Well, let's put it this way. Mr. Goldwyn, your studio won many Academy Awards this year, and I thought maybe you'd like to win them again next year.
I certainly would. What is your suggestion?
Well, have you ever thought of making a picture starring Jack Benny?
No.
Let me help you up, Mr. Goldwyn.
No, let me rest here a while. What were you... Now, what were you saying, Jack?
Well, what I was getting at...
Pardon me, Mr. Goldwyn.
Excuse me, Jack. What is it, Pat?
Oh, Mr. Goldwyn, 2 blueprints have been submitted for the set on Stage 8, the reproduction of the George Washington Bridge overlooking New York Harbor.
Yes?
Now, on both sets, the harbor is always in evidence. However, set number 1 with just the harbor can be constructed for only $1 million.
Whoop! Did you... Did you say something, Jack?
No, not a thing.
On the other hand, in set number 2, we can build the harbor, the bridge, and the skyline for an extra $1 million. Whoop! So you see, it's entirely up to you, Mr. Goldwyn, whether you want to spend $1 million... Whoops! Or $2 million. Whoops, whoops!
What's the matter with you, Jack? You sound like a tugboat.
I'm sorry.
Pat, I'll take number 2.
Yes, Mr. Goldwyn.
Now, what were you talking about?
Mr. Goldwyn, I'm not going to beat around the bush. If you make a picture with me, I'm sure we'll win the Academy Award next year. I've got hidden talent. That's Snoogey. No, really, I've got hidden talent.
Maybe so. I haven't the time to play hide and seek.
But, Mr. Goldwyn...
Now, look, Jack, I'm a busy man.
I know you are, Mr. Goldwyn, but it isn't as though I'm pleading for a job. I've made lots of pictures. Call up Warner Brothers. They'll be very happy to recommend me to you. They'd be happy to recommend me to anybody. I mean, look, Mr. Goldwyn, if you'd only think it over, I promise you...
Pardon me, Mr. Goldwyn.
What is it now, Pat?
We got to do something about the picture we're shooting on Stage 5. The script we have now is a little dated. The hero was a bombardier on a B-29.
You're right. We should change it to something post-war, something civilian.
Well, why don't you make him a tail gunner on a Studebaker?
Let me help you out, Pat. He's a comedian. We'll talk about it later.
Tail gunner on a Studebaker.
Well, I thought it was very funny, didn't it?
Maybe so, Jack. In fact, I think you're very good on the radio.
Radio. I want pictures. Mr. Goldwyn, you got to help me. I want to win an Academy Award.
Jack, let's talk about it some other time.
What?
I'm way behind my appointments. I spent the whole morning talking to Hoagie.
Hoagie?
Yes, Hoagie Michelson.
No, Mr. Goldwyn, that's Hoagie Carmichael.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, now getting back to me, Mr. Goldwyn, why can't you produce a picture that'll make me win the Academy Award? Why? Tell me why.
Well, Jack, maybe I can. Let me see how I look without those thick glasses you have on. Take them off.
All right. There. Now, see how I look with my glasses off? See how blue my eyes are? You know, that'll help if we make it in Technicolor. And look how long my lashes are. Real, too.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Goldwyn...
You can put your glasses back on. Mr. Goldwyn went out to lunch.
But how could he leave? I was standing against the door.
He jumped out the window.
Out the window? Let me see.
He didn't get away, boss. I caught him.
Well, hold him. I'll be right down.
We'll be back in just a minute, but first here is Basil Rysdale.
As you listen to the chant of the tobacco auctioneer, remember, LSMFT. Lucky Strike means fine tobacco, and fine tobacco is what counts in a cigarette.
So listen to the words of a man who really knows fine tobacco, Mr. William Curran of Durham, North Carolina. For 24 years a tobacco auctioneer. He said...
At more than 1,000 auctions, I've seen the makers of Lucky Strike buy fine tobacco that's sweet and mild, chock full of smoking enjoyment. I've smoked Lucky's myself for 23 years.
Quote, fine tobacco that's sweet and mild, chock full of smoking enjoyment. Unquote. Yes, independent experts like Mr. Curran can see the makers of Lucky Strike consistently select and buy that fine, that light, that naturally mild tobacco.
Fine, light, naturally mild tobacco. So remember,
LSMFT.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Year in, year out.
LSMFT.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. And this fine Lucky Strike tobacco means real deep-down smoking enjoyment for you.
So smoke that smoke of fine tobacco, Lucky Strike. So round, so firm, so fully packed, so free and easy on the draw.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Mr. Samuel Goldwyn for appearing on my program. His next release will be The Secret Life of Walter Mitty with my friend Danny Kaye. I also want to thank Hoagie Carmichael, who appears with the courtesy of the makers of the Fifth Avenue Candy Bar. And ladies and gentlemen, be sure to listen in next Sunday, as we haven't the slightest idea what we're going to do. Good night, folks.
NBC, the national broadcasting company.
Good health to all from Rexall. It's the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show, presented by the makers of Rexall drug products and 10,000 independent Rexall family druggists.
Good evening. This is your Rexall family druggist with a welcome from all 10,000 of us. The 10,000 independent druggists who have added the word Rexall to our own store names and placed the famous orange and blue Rexall sign on our windows. We've done that because we believe in the 2,000 or more drug products made by the Rexall Drug Company, and we confidently recommend them to our customers. Like Rexall Milk of Magnesia, for instance. Here's the Milk of Magnesia that's so mild, so creamy smooth, and free from unpleasant earthy taste, even children like it. And it's quality like that we family druggists are talking about when we tell you you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Good health to all from Rexall. And now your Rexall family druggist brings you the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show. Written by Ray Singer and Dick Chevrolet with Elliot Lewis, Walter Tetley, Robert North, Janine Ruth, Ann Whitfield, Walter Sharp and his music, yours truly, Bill Foreman, and starring Alice Faye and Phil Harris. Last night, Phil and Frankie attended a stag party at their American Legion post. It was quite an affair, and they stayed a little later than they anticipated. And now as we look in, our two heroes have just returned and are standing in front of Phil's house.
Oh, Curly, that sure was a swell party, wasn't it?
Yeah, but this is no time for me to be getting home.
Oh, it's not that late. Yeah, it's a beautiful night. Look how bright the moon is. By the way, what time is it?
7 o'clock, and that's the sun. Oh, Frankie, I'm in trouble. Alice let me go out with the boys last night, but I can't let her find me coming in at this time.
Why not?
She only gave me a 6-hour pass. Look, Remley, I forgot my keys. Now, we're going to have to sneak in through that cellar window.
Oh, that's a fine thing. Guy invites me to spend the night at his house, and I got to sneak in through the window. Curly, I ain't going to do it. You can go in through the cellar window. I got a smarter way of getting in.
How?
I'm going to ring the bell and wake Alice.
Don't touch that. Guy can get killed that way.
Curly, stand up to your wife. Assert yourself. Tell her off. Let her know who's the boss.
Quiet, you single man, you. Assert yourself. Now, come on, let's get in this cellar window here. Wait till I open it. There it is. Now, go ahead, Remley. You jump down first.
Curly, aren't you ashamed of yourself sneaking in through the cellar? You do this often?
Of course not. I've been married 8 years, and this is the first time I've ever done anything like this.
Yeah, it's dark down there. Which way do I jump?
Well, I always jump forward and a little to the left. That way I land on the mattress I got stagged on. All right, Remley, go ahead, jump.
Okay, here I go.
Got to get a new mattress one of these days. Roll out of my way now. I'm coming down. See? It's easy.
Yeah.
What the heck did you land on?
Pile of cans and threw me up against the furnace. I think I put my foot through a pipe.
Through a pipe? Oh, no. Oh, Remley, I hope you didn't break anything.
Well, I'm too tired to look now. Come on, let's get up to bed.
Yeah. I'm tired, too. Come on, we'll sneak up to the guest room and then we get some shut-eye, huh? Now, look, let's be quiet about going up these stairs. Well, we made it without... Did that all right, didn't we? Alice never did wake up, huh? Oh, boy. How to get to bed? I'm so tired I'm not going to take my clothes off.
No, me neither. Just to take my shoes off.
Are you through? Or are you going to sleep with the fourth one on? 3 shoes, that's pretty good, huh? I knew he had some talent somewhere. Oh, this bed feels so wonderful, Frankie.
Yeah, doesn't it? Well, good night, Curly.
Good night, Frankie.
Good morning, Philip.
Little punk, he made me fall out of bed.
Willie, will you please go away?
Get up now, Philip. Get out of bed or people will call you a sleepyhead.
Thank you, Mother Goose. What are you doing here so early, anyway?
We have a golfing date. Come on, get up. Get up, you rascal.
Get out of here before I unscrew your head.
Why don't you want to get up? Philip, did you get to bed late?
Of course not. I just don't feel well. I was sick when I went to bed last night.
You must have been sick. You didn't even stop to put your rag curlers on.
All right, you got a small laugh. Now get lost.
Well, I'll go downstairs and break every one of your old master painter records. No eyes.
Get out of here. No eyes.
I wonder if we could frame him and have him sent to reform school. All I want to do is go to sleep.
Oh, boy. Me too. Good night, Frankie.
Good night.
You can't get away from Texas Joe, you vermin! You can't catch this car! I shot you! You're dead! And now you'll never get the secret formula, Ted! Come on, J.R.! Back to the hideout!
Well, they just finished another one at Monogram. They didn't wake you up, did they, Frankie?
Oh, no. I'm just lying here thinking. Thinking.
Or what?
Next time they come through, let's give them real guns. What kind of a joint are you running here, Curly?
All right, forget about it. Let's get some sleep.
No, I'd rather stay awake.
What for?
I hate to miss Olson and Johnson when they...
Please, Remley, I'm too tired for tired jokes, huh? Good night.
All right. Oh, quiet at last.
Crush on you, sweetie.
Quiet, will you? Stop that racket, please. Cut it off.
Curly, is there an old Indian trail running through here?
Frankie, what are you two doing sleeping in here?
Sleeping, she said. If she wasn't my wife, I'd snatch her bald.
What are you two doing in the guest room? You didn't get in late, did you, Phil?
Nah. Whatever gave you that idea?
Well, I waited up for you. What time did you get home, dear?
I got home at exactly what time did you fall asleep, darling?
Well, I went to sleep at 12 o'clock.
Just missed me. I got in at 12:05.
Are you sure it was 5 after 12?
Well, I'm positive I can prove it. Frankie was with me.
Frankie, what time did you get in?
7 o'clock. You want to make something of it?
Honey, will you listen to me? He's just kidding you. Now, you don't think I'd stay out all night, do you?
Nah.
You trust me, don't you?
Nah.
Couldn't you two hire a room in a motel and do this?
You don't think I'd stay away from you all night, do you, beautiful?
I hope not, precious.
I couldn't bear to be away from you that long, Angel.
Oh, I know you couldn't, sweetheart.
Oh, I gotta break up this marriage.
Phil, there weren't any women at this party, were there?
Heavens to Betsy, no. Say not. I don't know why you're so suspicious of me, Alice. You know I'm as innocent as a newborn babe.
Speaking of babe...
She get in there.
Speaking of babe, Curly.
I heard that.
I found this lipstick-stained handkerchief of yours at the party last night.
Wait a minute. How'd you know it's mine?
Got your monogram?
Let me see that handkerchief.
Mm-hmm.
Say, Phil, this is yours. Look at that monogram.
Yeah. P.H.
And lipstick.
L-I-P-S-T.
I know how to spell it.
I brought the handkerchief home so you can wash it, Alice. I hope you can get the lipstick off.
Stop saying that. Those are not lipstick stains.
What are those red marks?
I ate a jelly apple and shut up. The idea of showing Alice a handkerchief with lipstick stains on it. Are you trying to get her to leave me?
Yeah. And Alice, when you go, take the kids with you so I can get some sleep.
Frankie, that's my lipstick. I kissed Phil before he left last night. By the way, honey, you'll have to get up and fix the furnace. It's not working.
Well, why don't you go down and look at it, honey? You can... Furnace?
If you want me to, I'll go down and...
No. You stay right where you are. Frankie and me can take care of that. Come on, Frankie, get up. We got to fix the furnace. Wait a minute now. Stop crying. We got to fix it, so get up and put your 3 shoes on. Come on.
All right. If I ever sleep in this house again, I ought to have both my heads examined.
I never saw two fellows get dressed so fast. Oh, well, while they're gone, I'll finish my vacuuming and my song. I've got a crush on you, sweetie pie, all the day and night time. Hear me sigh. I never had the least notion that I could fall with so much emotion. Could you care for a cunning cottage we could share? The world will pardon my mush. 'cause I've got a crush, my baby, on you.
I've got a crush on you, sweetie pie, almost day and night time, hear me sigh.
I never had the least notion that I could fall so hard with so much emotion. Could you cool? Could you care for a country cottage? We could share. The world will pardon my mind, 'cause I got a crush on you. No one else but you.
Well, Remley, you're certainly running true to form. You've certainly messed up this furnace. You landed on the blower unit and ruined it completely. Now we gotta fix it.
We gotta fix it? I've already done my share. I broke it. You fixed it. Go upstairs, go back to bed.
Go back here.
What?
We can't let Alice know we broke it. You know that.
Why not?
Oh, you don't know that kid's Irish temper. When she gets mad, she's a regular Victor McLaughlin.
You mean two big, strong men like us can't stand up to a weak 155-pound female? Between the two of us, we can fracture her.
Remley, will you listen to me? We gotta fix it. Now, can't you understand? If we fix it, it'll make Alice happy.
Alice? Always got to make Alice happy. Our lives have to revolve around Alice. Sometimes I'm sorry we married that woman. She always has to be catered to. Started with the honeymoon. You wanted to go to Honolulu, and she wanted to go to Niagara Falls. So what happened? The three of us wound up at Niagara Falls.
All right. Now, let's get busy and fix the furnace.
I had a miserable head cold the whole 2 weeks we were there.
Will you stop? Let's get to work on this furnace. You broke the blower that forces the hot air upstairs. Now, we're going to have to get a new one, and I got news for you. They're very expensive.
Buy a cheap one.
Where?
I know a guy. He's a friend of mine who runs a war surplus store. He has...
Cut! That's all. If a friend of yours has a war surplus store, he probably got the stuff from the losing side.
Wait a minute, Curly. I resent that.
I don't care what you resent. I'm not buying anything from your friend's war surplus store.
Okay. But Yukisaki has some wonderful buys.
You saved your breath for years. I've let you talk me into getting things, buying things, fixing things. But now the revolution has come. I'm getting my own stuff, and I'm getting it in a legitimate appliance store. Now, you stay here and keep Alice out of that cellar down here, and I'll be right back pretty quick.
What's the 3 quicks for?
Well, the first one means I'll be back fast.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is the name of the magazine, which has a picture and a story of me, Alice, and the kids in the current issue.
What's the third quick for?
The picture in the magazine is so good, I thought I'd name the magazine twice. I'll see you, quick.
That's about time you got back, Curly. Have you got the blower?
Yep. Got it right here.
Yeah, did you get it at the appliance shop?
Well, not exactly. They wanted too much money, so I had a great idea. I went someplace else to get it.
Where'd you go?
War surplus store.
When I asked you to patronize my friend Yukisaki, you wouldn't do it. Had to find your own place. I'll bet you got taken.
I did not.
How much did this stuff cost you?
50 yen. Yuki's a very nice guy. I told you. Yeah, I like him.
And he isn't the kind who tries to take you, you know. Did he sell you a regular blower?
Well, not exactly. He talked me into something that's even better.
What?
A wind tunnel.
Very shrewd buy.
Yeah, sure was. You see, this wind tunnel is better than an ordinary blower. See, this will really force the air through the house.
How do we put this in?
Simple. All we got to do is to force hot air from the furnace into the house, right?
Right. But how do we get hot air into the furnace?
Stick your heads in the grate and talk to each other.
Hey, Julius, how'd you get down here?
Miss Faye told me you were down here fixing the furnace. You mind if I watch while you do it, or have you finished lousing it up already?
I know what I'm doing, kid. Now, look, Remley, all we have to do is to take the thingamabob and attach it to the whatchamacallit. Then we raise the who's-it, lift it over the thingamajig, and slide it into the what's-it.
You know all the technical terms, don't you?
You would, too, if you spent 4 years studying engineering at the Massachusetts Institute of Technicity.
What was that again?
Caltech.
Shirley, you better let me do it. Now, there's nothing to installing this. Listen closely. It's a cinch. All we do is disconnect the armature, run the conduit through the colliery shaft, connect it up to the rheostatic firmament, then raise the template till it bisects the transitory carburetor. You understand?
Of course.
What do you mean, of course? What did he say?
He said there's nothing to installing this. Listen closely, it's a cinch.
Then what?
Then he started talking shorthand, and I lost
Curly, there's only one thing that puzzles me. This thing's pretty powerful. How do we cut down the blower pressure?
I knew you'd have to come to me sooner or later, Rudy. It's easy. Now, look, it's got 3 speeds, low, medium, and high. Yuki said if we want it low, we attach the first wire to the second post. Or is it the second wire to the third post? Or was it the third wire to the first post?
Hey, let's play it safe and connect all 3 wires to all 3 posts.
This is what is known as moronic electronics.
You know something, Frankie? You got something there. It's a wonderful idea. Hey, you're a genius, isn't he, Julius?
Yeah. Mr. Emily, you got a great brain. Where'd you get it?
It's nothing.
I know, but where'd you get it?
Now, will you keep quiet, kid? Now, look, Remley, you put the blower in place, and Julius, you hook up the wires.
What are you going to do?
You laborers need entertainment. So I think I'll sing to you.
Have you ever passed the corner out 4th and Grand, where a little bundle of rhythm runs the shoe shine stand? People gather round and they clap their hands. He's a great big bundle of joy. He pops a boogie-woogie rag, the Chattanooga shoe shine boy. He charges you a nickel just to shine one shoe. Makes the oldest kind of leather look like new. Feel as though you want to dance when he gets through, 'cause he's a great big bundle of joy. He pops that boogie-woogie rag, the Chattanooga shoe shine boy. But it's a wonder that the rag don't tap the way he makes it pop. Bop! You ought to hear him fan the air. Hibbity-hibbity-hibbity-hibbity-hibbity-hop. He opens up for business when the clock strikes 9. Likes to get 'em early. That's when they're feeling fine. Yes, everybody gets a little rise and shine from that great big bundle of joy. He pops that boogie-woogie rag, the Chattanooga shoe shine boy. Yeah, that's fine. Say, boy, what's your name?
Scatman Roth.
Oh, Scatman Roth, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm just going to call you Roth.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to call you. Is that all right, Roth?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you one thing, Roth. You lay down a lot of claw.
Yeah.
But it's a wonder that that rag don't tap the way he makes it snap. Zap! You ought to hear him fan in the air with a slappy-wap-dap, slappy-wap-dap, slappy-wap-dappy with a bap-bap-da-bap. He opens up for business when the clock strikes 9. Says he likes to get 'em early, says that's when there's a feeling fine. 'Cause everybody gets a lot of that rise and shine with that great big bundle of joy. He pops that boogie-woogie rag, the Chattanooga shoe shine boy.
Boss, this is what you call flogging the floor shine.
Yeah? Well, look at that. Say, what would you do if I'd lay down a half?
Oh, man, a half would make me laugh.
Yeah? 'Cause he's the Chattanooga shoe shine boy.
Well, Curly, we got the blower all wired up and ready to install. Let's try it.
Wait a minute. What's the matter? Well, remember this now. Whoever turns the switch on has to stand in front of the wind tunnel. Might be dangerous.
Let Julius do it, huh? Wait a minute. How are we going to get him to turn it on?
Child psychology. We'll make a game out of it, and he'll be begging us to let him do it. Now, get this. Hey, gee, Frankie, it's going to be fun testing this blower. I can't wait to turn it on.
Oh, wait a minute, Curly. I want to turn it on.
No, I want to turn it on.
Don't be selfish, fellas. How about me?
Oh, do you want to turn it on, Julius?
No. This thing ain't gonna work.
Well, it might. Turn it on and see.
Okay.
Stand back, Remington. Okay, Julius. Push the switch.
All right, here goes. You see, I told you.
Look at him take off. Zooming well.
Hey, he's airborne. Curly, look, he's heading for the wall.
Bank to the left, kid.
Hey, raise your flaps to lower your landing gear.
Whoa. Well, he crashed. I guess he ain't ready to solo yet.
Get me off this wall. The air pressure got me pinned on. I can't breathe. You guys are always trying to kill me. What are you, cut my skills for a single old day?
Oh, nothing happened to you.
What's going on down there?
Oh, Alice, don't come down. The stairs are right in line with the wind tunnel.
What are you talking about? I'm coming down the stairs.
Sloppy takeoff. Let's blow her right back upstairs again. Remley, pull them wires out. Turn off that tunnel.
Yeah, okay.
Turn it off.
Here we go.
Oh. Alice, are you all right?
Yes, I'm all right. But wait till I come down and get my hands on you. Bill Harris, I declare war on you.
Oh, Remley, let's get out of here. She's got that McLaughlin look. Where we going? The Yukasaki's. He's got a used bomb shelter. Come on.
Alice and Phil will be back in just a moment. Meanwhile, here's your Rexall family druggist.
I never cease to wonder at the many ways scientists have learned to improve on nature. And it seems to me that Plinneman's, Rexall's popular multivitamin capsules, make a pretty good example.
Why, how do you mean?
Well, ma'am, long and careful study of the Plinneman's formula has enabled Rexall scientists to make the vitamins it contains more stable than they are in their natural state. For example, the vitamin C in Plinneman's is more stable, that is, less liable to lose its full natural potency, than the same amount in orange juice would be shortly after the juice is squeezed from the fresh orange.
Well, how do they do it?
Well, for one thing, the vitamins contained in Plinneman's are protected in the capsule by a special fruit acid, which helps keep them at their full potency. What's more, Plinneman's are carefully fortified so that when you take them, you can be sure you're getting, at the very least, the amount stated on the label.
And are Plenamins easy to take?
Just this easy. The daily dosage is individually sealed in airtight metal foil. You merely break it off from day to day, and the remaining capsules stay completely protected.
Say, I'm beginning to think old Mother Nature could learn something from Rexall scientists.
Well, ma'am, 10,000 family druggists have learned this. you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Good health to all from Rexall. Bill, Alice, we have a distinguished visitor here today, Judge Harry C. Westover of the National Safety Council.
As a representative of the National Safety Council, it gives me great pleasure, Phil and Alice, to present you with this award of merit for exceptional service to the cause of safety in 1949. The recordings you made for National Safety Council have been heard all over our nation, and through them you've helped reduce our appalling home accident toll. These awards are made to a very select few each year who have contributed their times and talents to the cause of public safety. Congratulations and best wishes to you two very generous and sincere people.
Well, on behalf of Alice and myself, thank you very much, Judge Westover. Thank you.
Thank you, and good night, everybody.
Good night.
The biggest discovery in years in the field of dental care is ammoniated tooth powder. That's why it's important for you to know that Rexall ammoniated tooth powder is compounded according to the original and official University of Illinois formula that has proved so successful in reducing tooth decay. Ask for Rexall ammoniated tooth powder at the store with the orange and blue Rexall sign on the window. And remember, you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Next, Sam Spade, then Three Great Stars on Theater Guild on NBC.
Speaking of radio, the Jack Benny Program.
Well, Jack was very enthusiastic about all those things. And Jack would say, we go in for a hamburger. And he'd say, this is the greatest hamburger I ever had in my life.
Jack's manager, Irving Fine.
Once, I tell the story in the book, we went back, I think it was 1949, for a dinner for Harry Truman when he was president of the United States. And at this dinner, all the notables in Washington were there. And after the dinner, there were a lot of private parties. But Jack said, no, I want to get a quick bite. Let's skip the parties and let's find a place to get some simple to eat. So we walked out in our evening clothes, and we walked about 2 or 3 blocks from the hotel, and we found a diner. And we went in and we had ham and eggs and coffee. Well, ham and eggs were good, but, how good could ham and eggs be? But Jack said, these are the greatest ham and eggs I've ever eaten in my whole life. And he kept talking about this diner that had the greatest ham and eggs he ever had in his whole life. And then 6 years later, we were back in Washington doing a dinner for President Eisenhower. And when the dinner was over, Jack said, hey, we got to find that place for those great ham and eggs. And we went searching all over Washington. I'd forgotten where it was. We walked all over Washington in our evening clothes looking for this diner. We finally found it and had ham and eggs again. Jack was always enthusiastic that way. One day, George Burns, in his introduction to my book, and in his introduction, he tells a story that when Jack signed a $1 million deal, or a $2 million deal, he went to his lawyer's office downtown Los Angeles. And then he came back into the Hillcrest Country Club where they both belonged, and he saw George. And he was all excited, and George thought he was excited about the deal. And George says, well, how are you, George? Jack said, boy, I'm so excited. You know what I found? And George said, what? He said, I found that by driving down Wilshire Boulevard at exactly 28 miles an hour, you can go right through without stopping for a red light, all the way. Isn't that terrific? And he never once mentioned the $2 million deal he had signed. And that was the contract. One day he met George in the club, and he said, George, have you taken a shower today? And George said, no, why? He said, you've got to take a shower. George said, why? He said, the towels are the greatest. He said, the softest, most wonderful towels, you've got to take a shower. That was Jack.
The Lucky Strike program starring Jack Benny with Barry Livingston, Phil Harris, Rochester, Dennis Day, and yours truly, Don Wilson. and gentlemen, on the corner of CBS Square, there's a small drugstore which is frequently visited by radio personalities. At the moment, Mervyn, the soda jerker, is talking to Flossie, the new waitress.
Take it easy, Flossie. Don't be so nervous.
I can't help it, Mervyn. After all, this is my first day as a waitress.
It's nothing to worry about. What did you used to do?
I was in the movies.
You? You was in the movies?
Yeah. I was head popcorn popper at the Pantages.
Well, why did you quit?
My boyfriend got tired of kissing my salty fingers. Gee, I hope I make good at this job.
Oh, don't worry. You'll do all right. Uh-oh. Get ready for business. Here comes Jack Benny and some of his cast.
Oh, gee, celebrities. Who are they?
Dennis Day, Don Wilson, Phil Harris, and Jack Benny. You see? They're starting across the street.
Oh, yeah. Which one is Jack Benny?
The one that looks like he won't make it. Hey, you better set a table for him.
Okay, Mervyn. Give me 4 glasses of water.
You'll only need 3. One of them never touches the stuff. Now, come on. You better get busy, Flossie.
Now, come on, fellas. There are plenty of tables.
Let's sit over by the window.
Okay, by me.
Hiya, Mervyn.
Good health to all from Rexall.
Phil, why do you always make him do that?
Well, it only costs me $1 a month, and if my sponsor comes in, he'll be impressed.
Why?
Because this is a thrifty drugstore.
Oh, well, let's sit down, fellas.
Your orders, please.
Get some new talent here.
Your orders, please, gentlemen.
I'll take a ham sandwich on rye and a cup of coffee.
Yes, sir.
I'll have the same.
Yes, sir.
And I'll have a glass of milk and some apple pie a la mode.
Yes, sir. What flavor ice cream do you want on your pie?
Oh, no ice cream. Just put on a scoop of mashed potatoes.
Dennis, why in the world do you order pie with a scoop of mashed potatoes?
Because I'm a slow eater.
What's that got to do with it?
Ice cream melts.
Well, I asked him. He answered me. Now I'm too sick to eat.
What do you have, sir?
Well, I'll have a shrimp cocktail, some clam chowder, a porterhouse steak, hearts of lettuce with Thousand Island dressing, some green peas, French fried potatoes, a piece of chocolate layer cake, and a cup of coffee. Can you remember that?
I hope I can carry it.
That'll be all, miss.
Thank you. I'll be right back with your orders, gentlemen.
Say, fellas. Hey, she's kind of cute-looking girl, isn't she?
Yeah. Nice personality. Beautiful red hair, sunny smile, trim ankles, cute little figure, and...
Phil, remember, you're married.
I know, but I can still take inventory, can't I?
Yes. Hey, Dennis, what are you looking at?
There's lipstick on my glass.
Lipstick? Well, I'll call the waitress and tell her...
Oh, no. This is exciting.
Dad, what's exciting about lipstick on a glass?
It's spring, Dad. Spring.
Oh, be quiet.
There are some shows, some comedians I know that in the past, in one season, they would go through 3, 4, 5 sets of writers in one season. Jack had writers for years and years and years, and then circumstances sometimes where the war came along and two of the writers left, or you had to get new writers, and you got 4 new writers, and they were with him for almost 20 years.
And you still call them the new writers?
No, there were 2 writers who came in 1950. And they were the new writers. They were came on as junior writers. And then a year or 2 later, they became regular writers. But to Jack, they were the new writers. And they were with us for 20, 25 years. And they were always the new writers. And I imagine after they were with us 18, 20 years, one day Jack said to his secretary, "Get me the new writers." They've been with them 18 years. They were the new writers.
Another episode in your book about writers is really funny. I think it was that Jack Benny wanted to give some credit to Mel Blanc on a show, and he went into the writers' room. What
happened was Mel Blanc played the various characters on the show. He did the voice of the Maxwell. He did Anaheim, Azusa, and Coop. Gamanga. He played the Mexican C-Psi routine. He did the French violin teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And one time, he was very good in the show, and after rehearsal on radio, Jack called the writers over from out of the booth. And he said, at the end of the show, he said, I'd like to write something now to give Mel Blanc credit. I'd like to say that Mel Blanc played the part of the French violin teacher. So one of the writers said, okay, why don't you just say, at the end of the show, Mel Blanc played the part of the French violin teacher. Jack said, yeah, that's what I'll do, and he wrote it down. And as they walked away, the four of them, one of them turned and said, Jack, one of us could have given you that line. And Jack, of course, was a great audience. He fell on the floor for 10 minutes, he laughed, you know.
Pierre.
Yes, Suzette?
Pierre, I cannot understand you. You sit there with a sprained ankle, and yet there is such a happy look on your face.
Oh, oui, ma chérie. Because of this ankle, I do not have to give Monsieur Benny a violin lesson.
Oh. Pierre, this Monsieur Benny, he is a moving picture star, no?
Oui, he's a moving picture star, no. He is on the radio.
Oh, the radio. What program?
Oh, you know the program that starts, touchez bas, touchez tombe, c'est with me faire comme ça, fais-moi loquer, touchez votre égalmire, fais-moi loquer, touchez votre égalmire.
Oh, yes, I've heard that many times.
Who can that be?
Maybe it is the landlord.
No, he would not come to a dump like this.
I will see.
Oh, how do you do? Does Professor LeBlanc live here?
Oui, I am Mrs. LeBlanc.
Well, I'm Jack Benny.
Sacre bleu.
Thank you.
Suzette, who is he?
Oh, it's me, Professor. I heard what happened to you, so I came over here for my lesson.
Sacre bleu.
Thank you. Professor, how's your sprained ankle?
A dismal failure.
What?
Nothing. If you are here for a lesson, let's get it over with.
Oui. Yes. Now, Professor, when you were giving me my last lesson, what were we doing?
You were playing the Blue Danube, and I was picking up the dead flies.
No. I mean after that. Anyway, what number do you want me to play today?
The same one you have been practicing for weeks and weeks and weeks. Minuet L'Antique.
Oh, yes. Here, I'll get my violin out of the case.
Suzette, aren't you going to kiss me goodbye?
I'm not going out.
You will in a minute.
Well, here we are. Now, just a second. I better tune up.
Does not make any difference.
Oh, yes, I have to be in tune. Now, shall I start with the Minuet L'Antique?
Start with anything.
Okay.
No, Monsieur Benny. Every week you make the same mistake. How many times do I have to tell you it is not da 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 da?
Oh.
You have to slide. Da.
Oh, yes. I'll get it this time.
Sacre bleu.
Thank you. Too high. I'm sorry.
Pierre,
What is it, Suzette?
Vous l'apprenez à jouer au violon depuis 2 ans. Je ne l'ai entendu qu'une fois, mais il est le plus mauvais joueur que j'ai entendu dans toute ma vie.
Oui.
Oh, Professor, what did she say?
It loses something in the translation, but it means you stink.
It sounds lovely in French. Shall I take it again?
Oui.
Okay. Sacre bleu.
Suzette, the baby.
I know. Quiet, Menjo, quiet.
Mr. Benny, please. The baby, stop playing.
Professor, why did you make me stop?
The baby's hair turned gray.
Well, I'll take my lesson some other time. Goodbye.
But he spent an awful time laughing. He would laugh at everybody who was funny. And as well, people liked to be with him because people who had even mild senses of humor felt like great comedians. And comedians loved to be with him because he made them all feel number one. And the one, of course, he laughed at longest and loudest was George Burns. And George would do crazy things to Jack. And George could do simple things to Jack. And Jack would fall on the floor. You know, George could... I tell the book story that George, one day, Jack was wearing a blue suit. And he had a little teeny piece of thread on his lapel. And George went over and took off a piece of thread and said, "Could I borrow this thread for a while, Jack?" Well, Jack fell on the floor, you know. And he laughed and laughed. And then 2 days later, he received a package in the mail. There was a little velvet box. And in the box was this little piece of thread. And George sent a note. He said, "Thanks for lending me your thread."
And I'm down he went again.
Yeah, exactly. And George would do that kind of thing to Jack. Simple little jokes. And Jack would just think they were hilarious. And they were funny, you know.
Everyone, I'm sure, talks about Jack Benny's image of being a rather thrifty kind of a person, but indeed he was absolutely the opposite. And in fact, he was almost extravagant, wasn't he?
Well, he was extravagant in certain things. He was extravagant to prove that he wasn't cheap. He would overtip. And we figured out that he would spend $7,500, $10,000 a year extra every year just to prove that he wasn't cheap by overtipping to porters, waiters, cab drivers. If we go to a restaurant where you'd ordinarily tip $2, he'd tip $8 or $6 or $5. Sometimes I'd say, "Jack, that's ridiculous. We just had a sandwich and a cup of coffee, and the check was $2, and you left the man $6. I said, "That's ridiculous. You left him as big a tip as we ate." And Jack would say, "No, that's all right. Forget about it." Or when we go to the airport, where you would tip $1 for 2 bags, let's say, to the porter. And I was with Jack. I would always tip bigger, so I would tip $2. Jack would yell at me because I was always tipping for him. Jack would say, "That's ridiculous, give him $5 because, he wanted to prove that he wasn't cheap."
I would have thought that it might be an honor to get a dime tip from Jack Benny, though.
Well, that did happen. I tell the book once he gave a hat check girl $1 for his hat. And she pushed it back to him and said, "Please, Mr. Benny, leave me some illusion." And once he took a cab in Las Vegas, and the ride was like 75 cents. And he gave the man $5 and he said, "Keep it." And the cab driver said, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. My wife would yell at me because she thinks you're cheap and she wants to keep thinking that way. And if I come home and say you gave me a $4.25 tip for a 75-cent ride, she'd be disappointed. So Jack said, okay, give me back $4.25. So the cab driver said, no, I think I'll let her be disappointed. Once Jack and I were rushing to, I think, NBC. Oh, 10, 15 years ago. And we jumped out of the cab and we rushed to the front door. I thinking he had paid the cab and he thinking I had paid the cab. And we got to the front door, the cab driver yelled, so it's true about you, Mr. Benny. And Jack looked back and he realized he hadn't paid him. And he came back and, of course, gave him like $10, 50 cents to get rid of him.
Hey, that must be George now. Come in.
Well, Jack, I'm here.
Hey, kids, it's George Burns. Hey, George. George, I knew you wouldn't let a pal down.
Of course not, Jack. What are pals for?
You know, kids, George and I have been friends for 20 years.
25.
That's right. We've been following each other's careers since the days of vaudeville. We don't make a move without consulting each other. Isn't that right, George?
That's right.
But you did have me worried for a while. What took you so long to get here?
What took me so long? I've been chasing you all over town looking for you. When did you change networks?
When did I change networks? 3 years ago. George Burns, of all people.
Jack, don't get mad at him. Remember, he's your pal.
Buddies. Now, kids, George came here for one specific reason, and that is to sing my
song.
When
I say I beg your pardon, then I'll come back to
George,
you.
Not yet, George, not yet.
If you ask me to forgive you...
George, hold it. Wait a minute, hold it. I had a special arrangement made for you. Wait a minute. George, I had a special arrangement made for the orchestra. So first, I'll find out what key it's in. Phil, what key is... Oh, for heaven's sakes. Phil, tell your boys to put away the dice and get back to their seats.
The boys ain't shooting dice.
Then why are they huddled around the circle?
They're trying to get the handcuffs off of Fletch.
Well, tell them to hurry.
Oh, George, I should have asked you when you first came in. How's Gracie?
Fine, man.
She was gonna come with me, but last week she bought a little puppy and she went on to enter him in a dog show.
Oh, he must be cute.
Not only cute, but Gracie thinks this puppy's the smartest dog in the world. She even thinks he can read.
Wait a minute. Gracie thinks this puppy can read?
Yeah, when she bought him, the man said, when you lock him up at night in the kitchen, don't forget to put a newspaper on the floor.
And she thinks he can read?
Leaves the light on all night.
Well, look, George, about my song.
When you say I beg your pardon.
Wait for the band!
Boy, what an eager beaver.
Dennis, he's not an eager beaver. He's just anxious to sing my song because he thinks it's wonderful. Don't you, George?
Yes, sir. That song will sell more copies than My Tomato Ran Away, but I'll catch up to her.
Who wrote that?
Rogers and Hines.
What?
It has 57 choruses.
That's my pal. Always got a joke.
Buddies.
Now, come on, George. How about doing my song now?
Okay.
Wait till you hear this, folks. Ready, Phil? Take it.
When you say I beg your pardon, then I'll come back to you. When you ask me to forgive you, I'll return.
Listen to that voice.
Like the swallows in Sereno, return to Capistrano. For you, my heart will always yearn.
That's my buddy.
When you say that you're sorry, then I will understand. Neath the harvest moon, we'll pledge our love anew.
That's an F sharp.
Oh, shut up. Oh, my darling, go party. Come back to whence?
Yes, whence?
We started, and sweetheart, then I'll come back to you.
George, that was wonderful. Absolutely
When
wonderful.
I say I beg you.
And believe me, you're through with it. Believe me, I'm grateful.
In this special closed-circuit broadcast to the managers and staffs of all CBS stations, Mr. Paley has asked that he might be the first to speak to you. Gentlemen, Mr. Paley.
I have asked to speak first so that I might have the pleasure of introducing Jack Benny. In a few moments, we'll pick up Jack Benny and Amos and Andy, too, speaking in Hollywood. But before we do that, I want to take the opportunity to say something else. It is in many ways, I think, the most significant thing I could say here, and that CBS, in fact, can say to the world. It is not about the developments of the past few weeks which have happily resulted in bringing Benny to CBS so soon after Amos and Andy. We all can see what this means to our Sunday night schedule and to our competitive strength and prestige as a network. But I'm thinking of something more important. It's the network Jack Benny is coming to. Our programming progress and our programming hopes for the future only make us all the more delighted that we are to have the one and only Jack Benny joining forces on Sunday night with a great comedy team, Amos and Andy. I can think of nothing which more effectively will strengthen our position. There is no one else like Jack Benny, truly one of radio's best, and at the very peak of his audience attraction today.
So I moved, and I didn't want to leave NBC. I loved NBC. But I had to make some kind of a deal where I could make some money, because here I was getting a terrific salary, and was all salary. And I couldn't make a deal for a company. Well, I wouldn't care if I got $1 million a week. That wouldn't do me any good. What good would that be? With income tax, right? Sure. Right. So the ones that made me the deal and came right through with it quick was CBS. Then, of course, when NBC realized I was going to go, then they were willing to make the deal. But I didn't want to play one against the other, so I merely took CBS.
Well, CBS had generally rated NBC at that time, didn't they, with these
No, the NBC was, yeah, once I got on, but NBC was really the first network. And then when I moved over, a lot of shows moved over. Mm-hmm. So that made really CBS come up on top.
Yeah.
I made the millions CBS by that move, which I didn't know or didn't think, you know.
Hello, Jack Benny speaking.
Hello, boss. This is Rochester. Is it true that your program has moved to CBS?
That's right.
On Sunday night?
Yep, Sunday night.
Same time?
Yeah, same time.
And you got a new deal?
Yes, I've got a new deal.
Boss, how about a raise?
Absolutely not, and that's final.
Doggone, new station, new network, new deal. But the same old boss.
When Bill Paley moved him from NBC to CBS, it was beginning of 1949, we had a big problem to let the audience know that he had moved to a new station and all over the country. And, habit is very important in people's lives. And you never know when people will leave you because of habit. And we worked hard, and I worked with CBS, and we did all kinds of things to let people know he moved. And when he did move, he not only remained number one, but he even had a higher rating than when he was on NBC.
All right, boys, are you ready? Fine, let's go.
Sunday night, if you're blue and you don't know what to do, CBS will fill a void. There Jack Benny can be hoid.
Boy, the lyrics are fine, Sportsman, but I wish there was some way to improve the music. Oh, well, let it go.
The show was sold to CBS.
Mm-hmm.
And that required a series of long meetings with the agents and the attorneys and so forth and so on. And toward the end, Jack would get involved in these meetings.
Writer George Balzer.
And one day, he didn't show up because he had to go to a meeting. And we just went on. We're working on the script. And in the afternoon, he came back. And he says, well, fellas, we made the deal. And I said to him, I said, well, Jack, whatever it is, I hope you got a good deal. And he says, I don't know whether I did or not. He says, all I know is that we'll all be working together for the next 7 years. Now, where else can writers especially get that kind of a contract? The result of the deal was that we would all be together for the next 7 years. Writers usually work under the pressure at that time of having a 13-week deal, not knowing if they were going to be picked up or not.
Ronnie! Oh, Ronnie!
What is it, Benita?
Have you noticed the commotion next door? Jack Benny's moving.
Moving? That's wonderful. Let's celebrate.
No. He's not moving out of his house. His program is moving to CBS every Sunday night.
Benita, never do that to me again.
Is it true, Mr. Benny, that NBC once gave you an option on the 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock time slot Sunday night?
They told me as long as I would stay with them, I could have that time. Now, this was not in writing, but it was a definite agreement that I could have that time as long as I wanted to stay with them. But when I moved to CBS gave me exactly that same time.
The Lucky Strike program starring Jack Benny with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Rochester, Dennis Day, and yours truly, Don Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, today marks Jack Benny's first program on the Columbia Broadcasting System. So let's go back a couple of hours and pick up Jack and Mary on their way to the studio. Rochester is driving.
Not so fast, Rochester. Don't cross the double line. Look out for that car. What's the matter with you?
I'm driving as carefully as I can, boss.
Well, just watch it, that's all.
Oh, for heaven's sake, Jack, calm down. Don't be so nervous.
I'm not nervous.
And stop pacing up and down on the running board.
Okay, Mary, I'll admit it. I am nervous, and you can't blame me. Today's my opening broadcast on CBS.
All right, so you're opening on CBS.
What do you mean, all right? Do you realize it's the first time my program will be heard in Alaska?
Well, so what? I've yet to see a walrus smoking a Lucky Strike.
Oh, yeah? I saw one last night.
That was Jerry Colonna.
I'll have to apologize. I threw him a fish. Anyway, Mary, this is no time for joking. I'm upset.
Oh, for heaven's sake, Jack, why should you be worried? You must have $1 million down in your vault.
I know, but I don't want to break up the serial number. I mean, Mary, stop asking me questions, will you? I'm in no... Rochester, I don't want to have an accident on the way to the studio. Now, slow down.
I'm only going 12 miles an hour.
Don't give me that. What does it say on the speedometer?
Made in 1899.
mean, besides that.
Jack, you're working yourself into a breakdown. Rochester, see if you get something on the radio so Mr. Benny can relax.
Yes, ma'am.
That concludes another broadcast by your friendly philosopher. And now for a special announcement. Remember, only 2 more hours and Jack Benny will be on CBS.
Turn that off! That's all they've been broadcasting for the past week. 6 more days till Jack Benny. 5 more days till Jack Benny. 4 more days. 2 more hours.
Well, Jack, if you don't like it, make him stop it.
I will not.
I can't figure you out. First you don't like it, then you do like it. I've never seen you this
All
way.
right. He's been a nervous wreck all week, Miss Livingston. Last night he didn't sleep a wink. He just kept tossing and turning and whimpering like a baby.
Well, wasn't there anything you could do for him?
I tried everything. I even threw him over my shoulder and burped him twice.
Oh, Rochester, stop exaggerating.
I'm not exaggerating, boss. You've even been talking in your sleep.
Talking in his sleep.
Yeah. Miss Livingston, who is William Paley?
William Paley is the head of the Columbia Broadcasting System. Why?
He has now replaced Harry Lamar in Mr. Benny's dream.
Stop, Rochester. I never dreamed about Mr. Paley.
Yes, you did, boss. All night long you kept saying, P-A-L-E-Y, P-A-L-E-Y.
Look, Rochester, I'm upset enough as it is without your discussing... Oh, fine. It's all I need now, a traffic cop. Rochester, he wants us to pull over to the curb.
Thought you, didn't I?
What's the matter, officer? Were we speeding?
Don't flatter yourself. You went through a red light.
Officer, the light was green when we started through the intersection.
Yeah, I know, but it changed twice before this jalopy got across.
Look, officer, I'm afraid this is my fault. I'm in a hurry.
I'm talking to the driver, so keep your... Wait a minute. You're Jack Benny, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Well, then you must be on your way to the studio to do your first broadcast for CBS.
That's right.
Well, only a louse would give you a ticket on a day like this.
Well, thank you.
Shake hands with Officer Sam Louse.
What?
I'm sorry, Mr. Benny, but duty is duty. Now, I'll write this.
Calling all cars. Calling all cars.
Excuse me a minute. This may be important.
Attention all officers. There has been a holdup on 4th and Olive. Investigate a double murder at Hill and Grand. Only 2 more hours and Jack Benny will be on CBS.
Gee, they had that announcement on your radio, too. Gee, the police must like my program.
Yes, they use it down at headquarters for the 3rd degree.
3rd degree?
Twice I confessed, and I didn't even do anything. Well, you can go, Mr. Benny, and I won't give you a ticket. I can't stand the tears in those big blue eyes.
Thank you. Go ahead, Rochester. Drive on, will you?
Just a second, boss. I've got to start the motor.
Oh, gee whiz, Jack. I hope you don't have trouble starting it like you always do.
Don't worry about that. Yesterday I had the motor tuned. Go ahead, Rochester. Start it.
Who tuned it? Spike Jones?
Mary, please. Rochester, try it again, will you?
Don't worry, boss. I'll get this motor started. But close your eyes.
Why?
I'm going to use the whip.
I don't care what you use. Let's get to the studio.
gentlemen, Colgate Dental Cream presents The Dentist Day Show, written by Frank Galen. With Paula Winslow, Dink Trout, Charles Dant in the orchestra, yours truly, Vern Smith, and starring our popular young singer in A Day in the Life of Dennis Day.
Twice a day and before every date, use Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth.
Here's Dennis to sing Managua, Nicaragua.
Managua, Nicaragua is a beautiful town. You buy a hacienda for a few pesos down. You give it to the lady you are trying to win. But her papa doesn't let you come in. Managua, Nicaragua is a heavenly place. You ask a senorita for a little embrace. She answers you, caramba, caramba, somebody so. In Managua, Nicaragua, that's no. I have been to many tropic ports. I might include even Brooklyn. If you're ever feeling out of sorts, I'd like to recommend a look in Managua, Nicaragua. What a wonderful spot. There's coffee and bananas and a temperature hot. So take a trip and on a ship go sailing away across the agua to Managua, Nicaragua. Ole, ole, samba, rumba, cadera, la bagalera. If you're ever feeling out of sorts, I'd like to recommend a look in Managua, Nicaragua. What a wonderful spot. There's coffee and bananas and a temperature hot. So take a trip and on a ship go sailing away across the agua to Managua, Nicaragua. Ole.
Si salía caballo de Tijuana, Santa Parada, de Kenny Temple to the man your cerveza. Hey, Pedro, who picked the key? I think it must be a baritone.
Nicaragua, ole, across the agua to Managua, Nicaragua, ole.
Colgate Dental Cream cleans your breath while it cleans your teeth.
No other toothpaste does a better job of cleaning your teeth than Colgate Dental Cream. For Colgate Dental Cream has a safe polishing agent that cleans your teeth both gently and thoroughly, brings out their natural sparkle and beauty.
And scientific tests prove that Colgate Dental Cream cleans your breath while it cleans your teeth. Yes, actual scientific tests prove conclusively that in 7 out of 10 cases, Colgate Dental Cream instantly stops unpleasing breath that originates in the mouth.
Colgate Dental Cream is famous for its wonderful wake-up flavor, too. Nationwide tests of leading toothpaste prove that Colgate Dental Cream is preferred for flavor over other brands tested.
So try Colgate Dental Cream to bring out the natural sparkle and beauty of your teeth. For a wake-up flavor you'll thoroughly enjoy.
And use Colgate Dental Cream twice a day and before every date to clean your breath while you clean your teeth.
Did you ever notice a funny thing concerning people who are related to us? When they're poor, they're called relatives. But when they're rich, then they're known as family connections. Well, at the Anderson boarding house where our young hero Dennis Day rooms, we find Mrs. Anderson engaging her lord and master in a conversation about a family connection.
Herbert, I've been thinking a good deal lately about your sister, Pauline.
Have you, Poopsie?
Yes. She's a splendid woman, Herbert. She has the type of character I've always admired.
Yes. When her husband passed away, he left her simply loaded with it.
Herbert, I feel we should be extremely nice to your sister. That's why we've written to her and invited her to come and live with us.
We have?
We have. But since this house isn't big enough for your sister, too, we decided to sell it and buy a larger one.
We did?
We did. Any comments?
Oh, no. I'm just grateful to us for taking me into our confidence like this.
So far, all we've been offered for this place is $4,000. Nowhere near enough to buy something larger with. Nevertheless, we...
Good morning, folks. Oh, good morning, Dennis.
Good morning. Nevertheless, Herbert, we must locate a larger house immediately. It's absolutely vital under the circumstances.
Yes, of course. Oopsie.
I'll have the house swept in an hour so we can go right out and look. You see that you get your ironing done in time.
Yes, I'll give it everything I have, passion flower.
Were you saying something about a larger house, Mrs. Anderson?
Yes, we're going to need one from now on.
Mrs. Anderson, you don't mean... That is, it isn't... You don't mean you're expecting another Anderson?
Well, that's exactly what I mean.
Oh, my gosh. I noticed you were eating like a horse lately.
What?
And here you are doing housework. Shouldn't you be off your feet?
Off my feet?
Of course. How soon is when is the latest Anderson due to arrive?
Why, sometime next week.
Mrs. Anderson, drop that broom and lie down immediately.
Have you gone crazy? Get out of here.
Yes, ma'am. But if there's something you want all of a sudden, like a pickle or a lemon malted milk with ripe olives in it, don't hesitate to call on me.
You'll hear from me if I feel the urge for either. Now, go.
Yes, ma'am. Gosh, women sure get irritable at a time like this. Oh, well, I can understand it. I suppose I'd be irritable myself if I... Now I'm being silly.
Dennis, did my wife...
Gee, congratulations, Mr. Anderson. I just heard.
Heard? Heard what?
Why, the wonderful news about the new visitor that's on the way.
Oh, that.
Gosh, aren't you excited?
What for? As far as I'm concerned, it just means more washing and ironing.
Mr. Anderson, that's no attitude to take.
Well, maybe not, but it wouldn't surprise me if she turned out to be quite a nuisance.
She? Couldn't it be a he?
What are you talking about? Of course it couldn't.
Gee, what confidence.
Are you serious?
Well, I've heard of cases where it turned out to be a he. There was one right in my own family.
Dennis, our visitor can't be anything but a she.
She can't?
Look, sisters are girls, aren't they?
Yes.
Well?
When my father had that talk with me, he must have left something out.
For heaven's sake, Dennis. Now, my sister's coming to visit, and she's a girl
Your sister?
Yes.
Then you're not going to have a baby?
I consider it most unlikely.
Gosh.
Hi, Daddy. Hello, Dennis. Mother was just telling me about Aunt Pauline coming to live with us.
Not what you think, Mildred. She's a full-grown woman.
Well, yes, of course. How old did you think she was?
Never mind. I just made another one of my natural mistakes.
Oh, gee, Daddy, won't it be wonderful living in a great big house? Maybe we can buy that big Burnside place over on Elm.
Oh, they want $8,000 for the Burnside House, Mildred. We couldn't buy it unless we got $8,000 for this one, and nobody would pay that much.
No, not unless a couple of real estate brokers were to get interested in it and start bidding against it. Daddy!
Uh-huh.
Suppose a big builder from out of town dropped in at a real estate office and hinted that he was interested in the Anderson property.
Say.
Yeah, but where are we going to get a big builder from? I'm afraid I know.
You can do it easily, Dennis.
But it's silly, Mildred. I don't know anything about building. Honest, I was 20 years old before I learned to make anything with my tinker toy.
Dennis, we've just got to sell this house for $8,000. You've got to be the big builder.
But, Mildred, I never built anything, not even my resistance. Okay, I'll try it. How do you do? You're Mr. Rowland, the real estate broker?
Yes?
Glad to know you, Rowland. I'm Frank Lloyd Day, the big architect and builder.
Oh, really? Oh, where are you from, Mr. Day?
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City? Why, that's my hometown.
Nobody's got the kind of luck I have.
connected with, Mr. Day. I know everyone in Oklahoma City.
Well, I'm referring, of course, to Oklahoma City, New Jersey.
Oh, I see. Don't believe I know the place. Just what have you built, Mr. Day?
Well, you've heard of the Empire State Building?
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, I was formerly connected with the firm that built it.
Oh, how about the Chrysler Building?
Well, my brother's with the firm that built that.
Leaving buildings for the moment, we come now to the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, yes. I know all about that job.
And so we say farewell to the Golden Gate Bridge and find ourselves at the Grand Coulee Dam.
Mr. Day, you're not going to tell me you built the Grand Coulee Dam.
I did. I designed it all by myself and also hired the coolies.
I suppose next you'll be telling me you built Notre Dame Cathedral.
And why shouldn't I?
Because it was built in the 12th century.
Yeah, that's why I shouldn't.
Mr. Day, it strikes me that you're not quite the fool you'd have me believe you are. I have a feeling that you're a very shrewd young man.
Let's play that hunch for all it's worth, shall we?
There's only one reason for you to come and see me. You're interested in property.
Well, I'm not saying I am, and I'm not saying I'm not. All I'm saying is, keep going. I love it.
I thought so. What kind of property, Mr. Day?
Corners. Greatest kind of property there is. Why, I've come out time after time for shorter streets so we'd have more corners.
I see. Just what corner in Weaverville are you interested in?
Now you're getting too inquisitive, Mr. Rowland. I must bid you good day.
What?
Thought you could pump me, huh? So that's your game, is it?
But you came to my office.
You tried to trick me. You left your door open.
But you phoned for an appointment.
Another trick, putting your name in the phone book.
Now, see.
I know. You'd like to find out who owns the property I'm after. Boy, what you'd give to hear me mention the name of Herbert Anderson. Fat chance. I'm too smart for you, Roland.
Herbert Anderson. Where's his property?
Wouldn't you like to know? You think I'm going to tell you which corner of 4th and Maple it's on? I know how to keep my big mouth shut.
The Anderson property at 4th and Maple.
I'm warning you, pal. Don't try to cut in my deal, see?
Who, me? Well, gosh, no, of course not. Do I look like a dirty crook?
I'm not saying you do, and I'm not saying you don't. All I'm saying is, I'm very happy with the way things are going.
You mean he's actually coming over here to see about buying this house?
I think so, Mrs. Anderson.
And you think he'll pay us $8,000 for it?
Well, sure, Mother. Dennis is going to bid him up till we've got the highest price possible.
Yeah, I'm going to pretend I'm a big real estate operator. You have confidence in me, haven't you, Mrs. Anderson? Huh? Huh? Oh.
Oh, golly, there he is. Answer, Dennis, while I get out of sight.
Does Mrs. Anderson live? Oh, so it's you.
I thought you'd be sticking your nose in here, Roland.
Yeah? Well, I got a right to this property, too.
Well, I saw it first.
Gentlemen, there'll be none of that. My property will be sold to the highest bidder.
Oh, good. Mrs. Anderson, I'm prepared to pay you $5,000 for this place.
I bid $5,000.50.
How much?
5,500.
That's better.
I'll make it 6,000.
6,500.
Now, wait a minute. Let's talk a little sense here, Dave. Here, have a cigar.
That's not my brand, Bud.
Oh? What kind do you prefer?
Chocolate.
Oh, wise guy, huh? I'll tell you what I'll do, Mrs. Anderson. I'll give you $7,000 and not a cent more.
7,500.
8,000.
Splendid, as far as I...
8,500.
Mr. Day.
9,000.
Oh, that's...
9,500.
You win, Day. I can't bid any higher.
Good, I thought you'd... Huh?
You heard me. Take the house.
Now, wait a minute.
That's all there is to it. 9,000 is my final offer.
Suppose I come down a little and you stay where you are.
No, thanks. I don't like the looks of this. I'm getting out of here.
Wait a minute. We'll start the bidding again, and you can steal the place. I bid $40.
$40?
Sure.
Well, I bid 50.
60.
70.
8,900.
That's all. I thought this smelled funny. I wouldn't touch this place for nothing. Good day.
Mrs. Anderson, I just know you're going to comment on this. That is, if I'm lucky.
Comment? Do you know what I could do to you, Dennis Day?
Yes, ma'am, but don't do it. You have enough troubles now. Don't add a boy slaughter charge to them.
Gee, I guess now we'll never get to live in that beautiful Burnside house.
No, I'm afraid not, Mildred.
Was Mother annoyed at what happened?
Well, I got the impression that she was. She told me if I ever spoke a word to her again, she'd knock me so flat I'd have to wear wedgies to keep my ears from dragging.
Golly. And then I'll bet she told you to pack up and get out, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's happened before and you're still here.
Yeah, but this is the first time she ever sold my bed to the Salvation Army.
Gee, if we could only think of some way to get hold of that Burnside house.
But how could we? It would cost $8,000 and only a millionaire has that much money. I said something?
No.
I have a strange feeling I'm not going to either. Well, I'll get it.
How do you do? My name is Jackson. Is this Mr. Rowland, the real estate broker?
Oh, no, sir. Mr. Rowland left some time ago.
Oh, well, that's too bad. His office told me I might find him here. I'm a real estate dealer, too, and I was interested in buying the Burnside property, which I understand he's handling.
Well, I'm very sorry, but...
Why, Harvey, this gentleman doesn't need to see Mr. Rowland.
Harvey?
Well, that's your name, isn't it? Harvey Burnside?
Huh? Are you... Oh, yeah, so it is. You have something in mind, Pamela?
Well, naturally, Harvey.
Imagine me being so absent-minded, forgetting my own name. Isn't that a panic?
You just said it, dear.
Yeah, but it's gone again. Let's see. Ruth? No. Grace? No. Sam? Of course not.
It's Pamela, dear.
Pamela, of course. Oh, I tell you, this absent-mindedness is a curse.
Well, now, do I understand that you're the Mr. and Mrs. Burnside who own the house that's for sale?
That's right. And if you'd like to see it, we'd be only too glad to show it to you. Shall we say 5 o'clock, Mr. Jackson?
Well, that's splendid, Mrs. Burnside. I'll see you both then. Goodbye.
Gosh, Mildred, this is the best idea you ever had. What is it?
Look, there's no one living in the Burnside house.
Uh-huh.
So we'll go over and mess the place up.
Yeah?
Not badly, but just so it looks discouraging. That'll bring the price down to where we can afford it.
You know something, Mildred? With your ideas, we'll never have to worry about the housing problem after we're married.
Why not?
We're going to spend most of our time in jail. Gosh, Mildred, don't you think we've gone too far boarding up the stairs and all the windows?
We've got to make Mr. Jackson think the house is undesirable, Dennis.
But wasn't it enough when we shut off the water and lights and painted rat holes in all the corners?
We can't take any chances. Oh, there he is. Now do everything you can to discourage him.
Okay. Come in.
Hello. Say, where are you folks? It's kind of dark in here.
Right over here, Mr. Jackson. But watch that floorboard you're walking on.
Floorboard?
Yeah, it's kind of warped. Every once in a while, boing! And you're pinned to the ceiling.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but outside of that, the house is perfect.
Maybe Mr. Jackson would like to look around, dear.
Oh, yes, and I'd like to start with the upstairs, if I may.
Why, certainly. Now, let's see. Where did I put that ladder?
You go upstairs by ladder?
Have to. The rope broke.
Well, never mind. I think we can pass that up. What's up there? The bedroom and the bath?
The bedroom's in the what?
The bath. Surely you have a bathroom.
By George, Pamela, I'll bet that's it.
Why, of course.
You'll bet that's what?
Mr. Jackson, did you ever have the feeling that something was missing and you couldn't quite put your finger on what it was?
You mean, but where do you go when you want to wash up?
Oh, that's no trouble. There's a filling station less than a mile from here.
Well, I guess I've heard everything now.
Oh, but you haven't heard any of our real advantages yet. For instance, we have no garbage problem here at all.
You haven't?
Nope, just toss it out in the backyard.
Well, don't you know that's a violation of the law? Garbage must be taken to the city dump.
I know. That's our backyard.
Great God, I'm getting out of here.
Oh, but you've hardly looked at the place, Mr. Jackson. Dear, you must show Mr. Jackson our lovely drop living room.
Oh, you bet, dear. Do you happen to remember where it dropped to?
Oh, I've heard enough. Mr. Burnside, I wouldn't recommend this place to a client of mine if he was living in a tree. And I'll see that nobody else buys it either. Good day, sir.
Dennis, we did it. The house will sell for a song now.
Boy, I sure hope so.
Oh, it will. And Mother can't be angry with you anymore. Why, when she hears about it, she'll kiss you.
Mildred, don't say that. There must be some other way we can make up.
Oh, Dennis, we're all so proud of you.
Gee, thanks.
You must have been awfully convincing, my boy.
Oh, yes. We just got a call from Mr. Rowland. He says we can have the Burnside House for only $4,000.
But gosh, do you think we should live there? There's no stairs and no bathroom, and it's full of loose boards.
Dennis, you made those things up.
Did I? Oh, yeah. Gee, I guess I was convincing.
Come in.
How do you do? Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Burnside.
Oh, yes, Mr. Jackson. You see, Mr. and Mrs. Anderson here are my parents.
Oh. Well, do they know my client isn't going to buy the Burnside house?
Yes, we know, and we think it's wonderful.
I'll say it's wonderful. You know, you nearly had to live there.
Live there?
Yes. You see, my client is your sister Pauline. She was going to buy the house and make you a present of it.
Oh, my soul and body.
Dennis, stay.
I know. You'd like a word with me.
I would.
No, please, Mrs. Anderson. The last time you had a word with me, I couldn't sit down for a week.
Come here, you.
No.
Dennis Day will be back in just a moment with a song. But first, here's a fact worth knowing.
Colgate Dental Cream cleans your breath while it cleans your teeth.
And just how important that is, our Colgate players are standing by to demonstrate for you. Our curtain goes up now on the tragic end of a buggy ride in New York Central Park.
Well, thanks for the buggy ride, Dick, but this is the end of the line. I'm getting out right now.
Hey, wait a minute, Sugar. You can't open fire on a guy just because he tries for a kiss.
Well, that's not why I'm walking out on you, Dick.
Then why are you? Don't hold out on me, Sugar. Sing out.
Well, Dick, honey, I just positively can't. But your dentist can.
And here's what Dick found out.
Scientific tests have proved that in 7 out of 10 cases, Colgate Dental Cream instantly stops unpleasing breath that originates in the mouth. What's more, Colgate Dental Cream's safe polishing agent brings out the natural sparkle of your teeth, cleans them thoroughly and safely.
Yes, Colgate Dental Cream cleans your breath while it cleans your teeth.
And Colgate Dental Cream is famous for its wonderful wake-up flavor, too. In fact, nationwide tests of leading toothpastes prove that Colgate Dental Cream is preferred for flavor over other brands tested.
So, to clean your teeth thoroughly and safely, for a wake-up flavor everyone enjoys, use Colgate Dental Cream. Remember, Colgate Dental Cream cleans your breath while it cleans your teeth. Here's Dennis with Charles Dant and the orchestra to sing the beautiful arrangement of We Could Make Such Beautiful Music Together.
We could make such beautiful music together. We could sing the loveliest love songs together. Our hearts beat in tempo, the sound of our voices will ring, the touch of our hands makes us sing, touch of our lips will be music. Lovely chords resound from the blend of a few notes. You and I and love are the blending of true notes, noble notes. Say the words that I long for. Let them be the theme of our song, or we could make such beautiful music together. You and I and love are the blending of true notes, noble notes. Say the words that I long for. Let them be the theme of our song, for we could make such beautiful music
Good night, everybody.
Dennis Day can be heard with Jack Benny every Sunday. And be sure and be with us again next week for another Dennis Day program. More songs, more adventures in the life of our star, Dennis Day. Meanwhile, be sure to use Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth.
It's amazingly different. Not a liquid, not a soap, but an utterly new cream shampoo that leaves hair soft, radiant, glamorous, and also easy to manage. It's Luster Cream Shampoo, created by Kay Dumit, who combined rich lanolin with secret ingredients. Use Luster Cream Shampoo and see how soft, how naturally lovely, how brilliantly alive and well-behaved your hair can be. Ask for Luster Cream Shampoo at cosmetic counters.
This is Vern Smith reminding you that housewives know only too well how every penny counts these days. Well, here's an easy way to add more to your shopping budget. Dealers are now paying higher prices for used fats than ever before. So save used cooking fats and oils. Turn them in for cash. Remember, too, industry urgently needs fats and oils to help produce soap, automobiles, refrigerators, all the things you want and need. What's more, the shortage of fats and oils is a worldwide problem. So for your own good, use and reuse fats and oils as often as you can. When they're no longer usable, save them in tin cans and turn them into your dealer. He'll pay you more for your used fats. And don't forget, prices for used fats and oils are higher than ever before.
This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
of Ivy, starring Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Colman.
Good evening. This is Ronald Colman.
And Benita Colman.
Inviting you to join us again on the campus of Ivy College.
And now, the halls of Ivy.
That surround us here today.
Welcome again to Ivy College, that is, in the town of Ivy, USA. It's 5 o'clock of a dark winter's afternoon, and the campus is in a soggy state. The trees are dripping, the ivy is drooping, and only the sturdier students are seen sloshing along in the mud-stained snow. All of which seems to have had no effect on Dr. William Todhunter Hall, president of Ivy, who returns home to number 1 faculty row in a buoyant and triumphant mood, as his delighted and delightful wife, Victoria, says,
You seem mighty perky on such a murky day, darling. Come on, tell me, what's the good news?
Good news. As a matter of fact, I had a perfectly abysmal day. I was needled, nettled, and besieged by all kinds of carping petitioners. But however well fortified I may be to cope with normal grievances, I have an Achilles heel for whimsy on a busy day.
A whimsical heel. It sounds enchanting.
Well, it's a fair description of young Jethro Matthews III.
Oh, yeah, him. He's the one who made the big fuss with the Dramatic Society about the scenery being too realistic. He also had a dandy suggestion that we do Death of a Salesman as a ballet.
Yeah, he's trying very hard to be consistently unconventional. He's a bright boy, but he's failing in his poetry course. It seems he hasn't attended any classes recently.
Why not?
Oh, he said he could learn far more about poetry by contemplating the vistas of nature than the visage of Professor Heaslip.
Well, he's got a good point there. But he's young, he'll outgrow it.
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, I was intensely individual myself when I was his age.
I bet you were a beautiful baby.
Ravishing, darling. But my critics were divided into 2 schools. One believing that I was just a mild eccentric, the other that I was a boring poseur. Both views were accurate. I was what is known in those days as a bohemian.
Oh, I know, yeah. Sit around in a smoky room and try to shock each other.
Yes. That's right. Yes. Adolescents from 20 to 70 who sit on the floor of what they call a studio with candles stuck in the necks of bottles. They have Schoenberg on the record player, which cannot be heard, of course, because of the furious talk about music and the pity for the poor, grubby businessmen. The men who made the candles, manufactured the bottles, built the record player, recorded the Schoenberg, and were idiots enough to forego the last 3 months' rent on the studio. Bohemians, making a fetish of the unconventional. Nonsense. Ridiculous. Wonderful, wasn't it? What a lot of fun we had.
You talked yourself right back into it, didn't you?
How did I get to be such a qualified authority on eccentric behaviorism? Did I make any sense?
Oh, certainly. You sounded like a professional psychiatrist.
A psychologist.
Psychiatrist, psychologist. What's the difference?
The same as between a poor student in the library and a rich one in the malt shop. One studies and one treats.
You know, this is the first time I've ever understood the difference. But to get back to your day at the office, what other dreadful things made you feel so good?
Well, for one thing, Professor Fisher is probably still wondering what happened to him.
Professor Fisher at the law school? What'd you do to him?
Well, I asked him whether he didn't agree with me that it was high time we had another look at the bylaws of the Student Legislative Council. He seized upon my suggestion, turned it into an indictment, and launched into a prosecutor's harangue.
I'll bet you put the old harangue-utang back in his cage.
No, but I managed to turn the case of Fisher versus Hall into the case of Hall versus Fisher. Oh, I gave him a run for his money. You should have seen his face.
You really poured it on, huh?
There was really no difference of opinion to start with, but he worked himself up into a hopeless contradiction, which I pounced upon with alacrity. And then, Vicky...
Louise, I'll get the door, darling. Don't stop. Now, you were pouncing. Go ahead. Pounce.
I used an old trick of forensics. As a champion and ruthless debater in my day, come in.
Excuse me, Dr. Hall.
Is there someone to see me, Louisa?
Yes, I told him to wait. The stout one who talks like a birthday card. Yes, it couldn't be anybody else. It's Professor Heaslip. Always sounds as though he were reading off tombstones. That's the one, Mrs. Hall.
Well, you'd better send him in, Louisa.
Yes, sir. And, Mrs. Hall, I told him not to bother because it's working now, but he wanted $1 anyway. For Professor Heaslip? No, he's in the hall. I sent the other one away. I'll tell him you'll see him, Dr. Hall. Sorry, have you any idea who wanted the $1?
Not yet, darling. In due time. We can't rush Louisa. With her, small phrases are tributaries that finally join a river filled with the flotsam and jetsam of facts, which will eventually flow out into the sea of knowledge.
Well, salutations, Skipper. Greetings, ladies.
Professor Heaslip.
My apologies, but I couldn't help overhearing. You were speaking of the sea of knowledge. What a proper subject for a conversation in the presidential mansion. And pray tell, what intellectual voyage had you embarked upon at this hour of twilight?
We were just wondering about a man who wanted $1.
What? Oh, yes, Jason in search of the Golden Fleece. What a delightful sense of humor you have, fair lady.
Yeah, well, with $1 where it is, we need one.
Ah, yes, a cogent observation. Skipper, I just stopped by to return your book.
My book? Oh, yes, the Christopher Fry play. Thank you, Professor. Did you enjoy it?
Oh, I've read it with some interest, particularly because of the flurry it has caused in certain literary circles.
I liked it.
Well, fair lady, it is pleasant in a way, but I found it much too wordy and flowery for my more austere tastes. Didn't you, Skipper?
No.
Oh.
I enjoyed its richness of language, but then I like words and flowers.
Yes, of course. A very gifted dramatist. Oh, by the way, Skipper, I stood up for you last evening.
You did? Well, thank you.
Oh, yes, Skipper, I took up the cudgels in your defense.
Oh, really? Oh, what about?
Oh, nothing serious, mind you. There was a discussion, and when certain, shall I say, impetuous statements were made, I couldn't resist raising my voice slightly in protest.
And that was jolly nice of you.
You spoke, fair lady?
Yeah.
Well, I'd appreciate knowing what these statements were, Professor. They might be true.
Oh, I hardly think so, Skipper. Just the irresponsible prattle of an idle tongue. What could be more ridiculous than to even suggest that you couldn't take time to attend to the practical problems of a university?
Are you asking, Professor, or is that what was said? I mean, is it a quote or a question?
Well, fair lady, perhaps I shouldn't have brought this up.
Yes, but who would suggest that...
Oh, dear, look at the time. It's nearly dinner. I must be off. Thank you again for the fireplace, Skipper. We must sit down and have a real discussion on it one day.
Yes, I think one day would be... goodbye, Professor Heaslip.
Yes, goodbye, Professor.
Goodbye, fair lady. And, Skipper, I wouldn't give it a moment's thought if I were you. It was just that I was so surprised about Agnes. Dean Huxley. I didn't know she felt that way about you. Well, I must fly.
There goes an idle tongue full of irresponsible prattle, if ever I heard one.
Well, you can't take him seriously. As my father used to say, a fool's tongue is always long enough to cut his own throat.
As my mother used to say, it's better to plant a seed of goodwill than to put a crumb in another man's bed.
Very good, Vicky.
Yeah, I wish he'd stop saying fair lady. Fair lady. Sounds like a bus conductor. And the way he backed off and changed the subject when you stood up to him about the Fry play. Huh?
Well, Heaslip is a man of many sentences and a few convictions. And what did he mean about Dean Huxley? What nonsense.
Yes. Sorry, you never finished telling me about how you vanquished Professor Fisher.
Fisher? Oh, well, now, what I think of it, I shouldn't take too much credit because I had him from the very beginning. Realizing the weakness in his case, I could afford to bide my time and do nothing.
Well, but you said you pounced on him.
Oh, why, I didn't really pounce. I just made a small point. It really wasn't such a... You know, it is surprising, Agnes Huxley. I've always had a great personal regard for our Dean of Women, And, well, I felt there was a mutual...
Of course, darling. You know she likes you. Now, come on. Now, what about Fisher?
Well, what could I have done or said that would have made her change?
But who says she's changed? There's nobody on the staff more loyal to you.
After all, there's nothing surprising about her saying I didn't have time to attend to all the problems of a university. The president of any college has to budget his activities by the very complex nature of the...
Yes, come in, Louisa. Excuse me, Dr. Hall.
Oh, yes, Louisa.
I forgot to tell you she called this morning, said she couldn't make it. And Mrs. Hall, he said the dollar was for coming over here. And I told him you don't pay for just visiting without fixing it. Certainly not. Fixing what? Oh, don't worry, it's working now. And Dr. Hall, she said she was sorry.
She?
But it's not worth $1, Miss Hall. I wouldn't pay it if I
were you. Oh, no, indeed.
I'd gladly pay $1 just to find out what he came to fix. $2.
$3.50.
$4.75.
Any other bids? Going at $4.75 to the beautiful lady with the blue eyes. Sold. Wrap it up, Louisa.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, Dr. Hall. You can be very confusing at times.
I'm afraid I didn't catch the name of who it was that was sorry she couldn't make it and what it was she was sorry she couldn't make.
You didn't? It was a committee meeting. Miss Dean Huxley.
Dean Huxley? Do you mean she can't attend the faculty advisors' meeting tomorrow night?
I wouldn't know. Said she wouldn't be there, is all. Seems to me people should leave plugs in where they belong. Icebox didn't work all morning. Well, I have my work to do. Claudie, I think I've got it. Louisa knocked the plug out of the refrigerator and didn't know it. Called the repairman, and by the time he got here, she discovered her mistake.
It's the first time I can remember Dean Huxley missing an important committee meeting. Of course, there needn't be any connection. I mean, this couldn't have anything to do with her criticism of me. Do you think?
Oh, she's probably just swamped with studio problems. She works awfully hard, Toddy.
Yes, I realize that. A very capable woman. And her department is rather short-staffed. I wonder... Yes, that could be it. She did say she needed another assistant. But that was a year ago, and it was the Board of Governors who turned down the request. I never thought she would hold me personally responsible for that.
Well, I'm still waiting, darling.
Waiting? What for, Vicky?
Well, won't you please tell me how you gave Professor Fisher the coup de grace?
Oh, yes, Professor Fisher. Yes, well, I'm afraid I exaggerated a bit. It wasn't really a conquest, you know. Just a minor skirmish. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure I scored my point at all.
Oh, darling. Now, don't let Heaslip's forked tongue spoil your day. Well, you know what a fine woman Agnes Huxley is. You've always said there wasn't a more efficient and understanding dean of women anywhere.
Yes, and that's why I'm perturbed, Vicky. When such an able executive as Dean Huxley suddenly leaves a cryptic message that she can't attend a most important meeting, which, of course, has nothing to do with what she thinks of my administrative ability... Or has it? Well, I didn't know I was so lacking in understanding of the female faculty. Perhaps I should let the male staff alone for a while and concentrate on the distaff.
The Voice of America is bringing you this presentation of The Halls of Ivy, starring Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman.
As we return to the Halls of Ivy, it's noon the next day, and Mrs. Hall has just returned from town when she's intercepted by her housekeeper, Louisa.
It's none of my business, Mrs. Hall. I got that recipe for the clam chowder from my great aunt in Savannah. He always liked it before. Nobody else I know makes it the same. And he just said, no, thank you. That's all. Well, I wouldn't take that too seriously, Louisa. Perhaps Dr. Hall didn't feel like soup today. Not that I believe in keeping a good recipe a secret. It's the bell pepper makes it. I'll mash and strain it first. Yes. Well, thank you. I'll call you if I want anything. All right. But mind how you walk. I got a cake in the oven. Looks good, too. My sister says that's why she won't own a vacuum cleaner. Huh? Says you can't pull a straw out of it to stick in the cake and see if it's done. All right, I'll be careful. I was going to practice jumping over the sofa, but it can wait. Hello, darling.
Vicky, I believe I have it. It wasn't a year ago when the Board of Governors refused to add another assistant. It was at least 6 months before that. Remember when the delegations from those two sororities came to see me about a pledge they both claimed?
Yes. And you told them they were big girls now to work it out for themselves. Yeah, and darling, Louise has got a cake in the oven. If you must keep pacing, please do it on tiptoe.
Well, I can't pace on tiptoe, darling. It'd look ridiculous. But, you see, Dean Huxley must have found out that the girls had come to me instead of to her. And even with the most intelligent of women, those things rankle, you know.
She would never hold a thing like that against you or anything else. As a matter of fact, I just ran into her an hour ago.
You did? What did she say?
Oh, the usual hello and how are you, and she was in a terrible hurry, so we didn't actually settle
Do you mean she didn't speak to you?
I didn't say that.
Well, I don't want to put a false construction on a minor incident, but it would surprise me if she held it against you, too.
Buddy, if I weren't the president's wife, and I thought nobody would recognize me, I'd march over to Heaslip's house or class or wherever that windbag is at the moment and give him a good punch in the nose for carrying tales. You know me, one round Cromwell.
Well, Vicky, I have none of the conventional prejudices against women in executive positions, but I've found that they have a tendency to emotionalize issues, to take the personal rather than the objective point of view. I can understand how Dean Huxley has misconstrued my action in the sorority matter as a peremptory assumption of authority, but I'm sorry that she allowed this to influence her judgment. I take this committee meeting tonight. She should be there. Why isn't she coming?
Well, maybe a cousin's sick, or if she's got a cousin, or possibly she's been evicted from her house and has to move tonight. I mean, there could be a dozen reasons. Maybe she's sitting on a jury. There are a dozen reasons right there.
Whatever it is, why did she just leave a message without any explanation? Now, why did she complain to Heaslip of all people? Why, if she had a complaint, didn't she come directly to me? Vicky, there's only one thing to do.
And I've already done it.
What?
Well, when I met Dean Huxley, I said, hello, Agnes, I said. And then I said, if you don't mind the fib, Dr. Hall said he would like to see you. So, she said she'd come over this afternoon. Do you mind?
Mind? Of course not. Oh, any further postponement would only widen the breach. However, I shall have to find a delicate way to remind her of the danger of letting small grievances grow into crises. And I must firmly recommend that in the future, if she have any protest, she give me the original, not the duplicate. I prefer not to be a pawnbroker of protests, dealing in second-hand complaints.
Well, you have no idea, Agnes, how happy I am you were able to make it this afternoon.
Well, you know, Victoria, I was almost ashamed to come here.
What?
Dr. Hall, I've been having a guilty feeling about you.
Oh? Well, why should you feel guilty about me, Dean Huxley?
Well, I haven't been to see you.
I don't know how you find time to see yourself with all the desperate, dramatic crises of charming and slightly distraught young ladies who crowd under your wing.
Yes, I sometimes feel like a mother hen with her peeping chicks. But I don't know why I should complain. That's my job.
But it's your prerogative to complain. Without protest, there can be no progress. And without constant challenge, we would all doze on a featherbed of complacency. No, Dean Huxley, I must insist. You have every right to complain.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Hall. But, complain about what?
Well, if you haven't got a complaint handy, Agnes, think fast. Make one up. Now's your chance.
Oh, no, I'm sure Dr. Hall has enough on his hands without my small problems. I may be a mother hen, but he's running the whole chicken ranch.
Well, I try to do what I can, but with the multitude and variety of my duties and obligations, many of which, of course, extend beyond the campus itself, I'm left with only limited time to attend to what are sometimes called the practical problems of a university. So I can have no sensitivity about anyone who may criticize my particular allocation of interests and energies and...
Dr. Hall, what on earth do you mean? Why, I've never known you to refuse to listen to any problems that came up here at Ivy. Honestly, I don't know how you find the time to do it.
Well, I've always believed that the primary obligation of an administrator is accessibility. That's why there is no door to my office in the administration building.
William said that either he or the door would eventually become unhinged, so he beat the gun and took the door off.
Well, I hope the privilege of free entry isn't abused, Dr. Hall. You can't be expected to do everybody's job. I had a set to with a faculty member about this very thing a day or so ago.
Oh, really?
He slipped? Why, yes. He wanted us to go trotting to you with a small dispute before we even had a chance to work it out for ourselves. I told him he was silly to bother you with it, that you had far more important things on your mind.
Oh, so that's what was said. Dean Huxley, I feel a most profound apology coming on.
Oh, that crumb planter. A finer example of verbal skullduggery I have never heard.
Yes, a few minor word changes, a slight difference of inflection, even the raising of one eyebrow, and you have a total change of meaning.
Why, so he did come to you with this after all. I can imagine what he said and what you've been thinking.
Oh, well,
Why, that nasty old... Oh, excuse me.
No, go right ahead. You can speak freely without any fear of contradiction from me, at any rate.
I'm sorry. But at the moment, just thinking about Professor Heaslip makes me cross.
I know. All he has to say is good afternoon, and you start wishing you brought your umbrella.
Well, Agnes, I don't mind telling you that this has relieved my mind.
Well, now that I'm here, perhaps you'd like to know what started off this chain reaction.
We certainly would.
Well, you see, a sophomore got snowed in on a skiing weekend, missed an early Monday morning quiz with Professor Heaslip, and he's refused to give her a chance to take it later.
But why?
Well, it sounds like a good enough excuse.
Well, you know our ruling on lateness, Dr. Hall, and Heaslip refused to make an exception. The girl wrote her father, and he's coming into town tonight to see me. That's why I can't be at the committee meeting.
Oh, I see. Well, Dean Huxley, I don't want to intervene, but if you'd like me to see the girl's father, I'll be only too happy to do so.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Hall, but I'm sure I can placate him. But there is something you can do for me.
Oh?
Will you please get Heaslip out of my hair?
Well, I'll do my best. As an ornament in anyone's coiffure, he leaves a little to be desired. But at the same time, I shall have to commend him.
For what? Not starting the Chicago fire?
No, for bringing to our attention, in however a roundabout way, a matter which should be near the top of our agenda. It's high time we examined the whole problem of student rules and brought them up to date.
Yes. You do still seem to have hoop skirt regulations which are a little difficult to sit down in.
So I shall appoint a committee to bring the whole subject before the Student Legislative Council. And to be sure that something is accomplished, I would like our Dean of Women to serve on that committee.
Why, I'll be glad to. Thank you, Dr. Hall. And my apologies for losing my temper about Heaslip.
Oh, and my apologies to you. I've been forcibly reminded that the loyalty of friends mustn't depend upon a constant reiteration of it. I have learnt with Molière that doubts are more cruel than the worst of truth.
Forget, though we as we sadly start our journeys apart. A part of every heart will linger here in the sacred halls of Ivy, where we've lived and learned to know that through the years we'll see you in the sweet afterglow. We'll remember halls of Ivy in the sweet afterglow.
The Ford Dealers of America presents The Fred Allen Show. The Fred Allen Show with Fred's guests James Mason, Colton Hotham, Minerva Pius, Peter Donald, Parker Fenley, the DeMarco sisters, and Al Goodman and his orchestra. Yours truly, Kenny Delmar, is here to remind you that starting tonight, your host for The Fred Allen Show is your friendly Ford dealer. What Fred Allen is to comedy, what cheese is to pie, what Abbott is to Costello, what Tiddly is to Wink. That's what your friendly Ford dealer is to your Ford. Because your Ford dealer knows your Ford best. For every service need, it will pay you to remember that it pays to bring your Ford back home for service.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight the Ford dealers start their new program by introducing an old model.
You're not kidding.
And here he is, Fred Allen.
Thank you, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In Portland tonight, we have a lot of work to do. Now that this is the Ford Dealers program, you know, we really should have a Ford slogan or something like that. Ford Dealers, you know.
I was up all night writing a jingle.
Oh, really? A Ford Dealers jingle? How does it go?
If your car is on the bum, if your motor doesn't hum, your Ford dealer is the man for you. He will fix it as good as new.
Say, that's very good, you know. Even the DeMarcos are applauding. They know they have no competition. Hearing that singing, Portland, for a minute, you know, I thought this was the Prudential Hour. I think we better let the Ford dealers decide on their own jingles. Tell me, what's in the news this week?
Hildegard was robbed.
Say, I read that.
The burglars took her jewels and fur coat.
Well, I know. You know, when the police got there, Hildegard found that her French accent was gone, too. They searched two waiters at Longchamp. They thought, what else is new?
Low State Theater stopped vaudeville.
Oh, I hate to see vaudeville go. You know, a lot of big stars played Low State.
Didn't Jack Benny play there?
Yes, Little Axe worked there, too. What an act Benny used to do. You know, his best was an American flag. He used to wear a cellophane coat so you could look in and see the flag. For the finish of his act, Benny would play the glowworm, and his violin would light up.
Is Jack really?
It shows he can't even get laughs on our program.
Is Jack really as cheap as he says he is?
Cheap? Well, he's not doing himself justice. Even today, in Benny's house, they keep the food 2 feet off the ground. 2 feet off the ground. All of the food is hung that way, so that if a mouse does get anything, if a mouse does get anything to eat, he has to jump for it. You know, a mouse in Benny's house with a Charlie horse is really out of luck. Luck reminds me, Portland, I'm going to be out of it too if I don't start for Allen's Out.
What is your question tonight?
Well, on December 26, 1947, New York City had its worst snowstorm since the famous blizzard of 1888. And so our question this evening is, down through the years, what is the worst storm you can recall?
Shall we go?
As Lee Schubert said when somebody asked him who else was in the business, it's Jake with me. Well, here we are back in Allen's Alley, Portland. Say, I guess this Senator Claghorn had a big New Year's Eve. There are 10 empty Broma Seltzer bottles on the front steps there. Well, let's knock.
Who's whamming my nutty farm? Oh, it's you again, son.
Yes, Senator.
Well, son, I got the beezy-weezy. Have I got a hangover?
You,
Well, my head feels like there's a porcupine in there pressing his quills against my eyeballs.
Irritating thought. New Year's Eve was too much for you, eh, Senator?
Well, Washington was jumping, son. I was invited to 3 different parties.
3?
Yeah, I only went to 2 of them.
Well, why, Senator?
Son, I ain't messing around with no third party.
I hope you're not neglecting business.
No, son, I'm working now on a bill to combat inflation.
Well, how can you stop rising prices?
I'm calling in every pair of suspenders in the country.
And when you have every pair of suspenders?
Things will start dropping.
Well, tell me, Senator, what is the worst storm you have ever seen?
Well, the worst snowstorm I ever seen was last week.
Was the snow bad down there in Washington?
Traffic was paralyzed, son.
Yeah?
Trains was canceled, cars were stalled, buses was tied up.
Gosh.
In Washington, only one thing was running.
What?
Henry Wallace. So long, son. So long, Henry.
Well, it'll take more than snow to stop Henry, I guess. Well, let's not keep Mr. Moody waiting.
Howdy, Bob.
Well, Mr. Moody, what is the worst storm you ever remember?
Oh, I reckon it was back in the winter of 91.
It was a bad storm, eh?
Yes. It started off with the wind blowing for 2 days.
The wind, huh?
Yeah. Blew down the telephone wires.
Uh-huh.
Everybody's conversation was laying around all over the ground.
And when this terrific wind died down?
Then it snowed.
Yeah?
Flakes was coming down as big as buckwheat cakes.
Say.
Yeah, it snowed steady for 2 whole weeks.
The snow must have covered everything.
Groundhogs was running around with divining rods, trying to find the holes.
Well, what happened when the snow stopped?
Then it turned cold.
Well, how cold was it?
Well, sir, my brother, Luther St. Elbaugh Moody.
Yeah?
A 32nd degree Mason, he went down 10 degrees.
Did all of this snow and cold bother your cattle?
No. I had my cow all bundled up.
Bundled up, eh?
Yeah. Pulled over her horns, I had a big tam o' shanter.
Yeah?
Round her front legs, I wrapped some heavy Congress gaiters.
Good.
On the cow's back legs, I put an old pair of my fleece-lined pants.
Well, if your cow had pants on her back legs, how could you milk her?
I used to be a pickpocket.
Mr. Moody's in a rare mood this evening. Let's try this next door.
Howdy, Chappie.
Mrs. Nussbaum, what is the worst storm you ever remember?
The first year I am married, sometime back.
Well, naturally. How bad was the storm?
Well, we were living in a tenement, the ground floor suite.
You liked it?
Liked it. The ground floor is convenient.
How come?
When I'm going shopping, I'm simply stepping out the window. I'm on the street.
Oh, I see.
Coming back, I'm stepping in the window.
Yes?
Europa, I am home.
And on the day of the storm?
I'm stepping out the window and going to the movies.
Uh-huh.
I'm seeing 3 double features, 1 newsreel, also surprise, a preview.
Yeah?
The zombie is giving it good to Frankenstein.
And while you were in the theater, the storm started, eh?
I'm coming out the streets with snow as mountains.
You set out for home?
Well, first I'm stopping stopping by Mag's Delicatessen buying cold cuts.
Uh-huh.
On Wednesdays, my husband Pierre is liking cold cuts.
A gourmet.
Every time.
Well, after buying the cold cuts, you came right home?
I'm walking on top of the snow. I'm stepping in the window. I am home.
And then?
I'm fixing up the cold cuts and sitting down to wait for my husband Pierre.
Uh-huh.
Then it is happening.
What?
A man is stepping in the window.
Yes.
I'm coming from behind and kissing him.
Yes.
The man is turning around.
And?
Yeah, it is not Pierre.
Not Pierre? You were in the wrong apartment?
The snow is so deep, I'm stepping in a window 3 flights up.
Well, what happened?
Luckily, the stranger is liking cold cuts. We are eating dinner.
Well, here we are. Here we are at the end of the alley with Mr. Cassidy, I imagine, waiting as usual. Here we are. What's on the road? Who's knocking on? Oh, no, who do you? Well, Ajax, what is the worst storm you ever remember?
Hey, boy, that was back in Aught 11.
Aught 11.
I was a young bucko working in New York City as a mounted policeman.
A mounted policeman?
Well, now, the day of the storm, the devil was in me.
Yes.
Up 6th Avenue, I come galloping side saddle.
A mounted policeman riding side saddle?
Oh, I was handing the street cleaners a laugh.
Oh, I
see. You know, I'm backing me horse into windshields and she's making her tail go like a wiper.
I see.
When I arrive at me post, 57th Street, the snow starts coming down.
Uh-huh.
Oh, at 2 o'clock, the snow is up over me horse's withers.
Yes.
At 3 o'clock, it's up over mine.
God.
At 5 o'clock, I'm under the snow entirely. Only me eyes is peeking out.
Yes.
Well, all at once, I seen a big lump coming under the snow.
Yes.
The lump pulls over to the curb.
You mean the lump?
It's a car. The driver is parking his lump next to a hydrant.
Well, what did you do?
Well, I got down off me horse. I'm in 8 feet of snow.
8 feet.
So I butter me way through and I give the car owner a ticket.
Well, how did you get back?
Well, I kept burrowing, feeling me way to the horse.
Fine.
Now, I can't find the stirrup, but I jump up on top.
Good.
All but me head is still under the snow.
Yeah?
I yell, giddy up, and I'm off.
On your way back to the stable.
Right, me boy, I come to 59th Street. Me horse won't turn. I'm yelling, whoa, Bridget, whoa now, whoa, whoa. Bridget won't whoa.
Whoa.
Whoosh, I go up Central Park West.
Yes?
Whoosh, I go up through Yonkers, through Mount Vernon. I come to Stamford. Whoa, I stop.
Say, your horse must have been exhausted.
What horse?
You mean that in that snow you hadn't gotten back on your horse?
I'd mounted the Boston bus. Goodbye, dear.
Ladies and gentlemen, if one of your New Year resolutions is to hear Al Goodman every Sunday, you're about to keep your resolution. Regardless of what the 5 DeMarco sisters sing, the great Al Goodman will play Good News.
Other night I saw my lucky star. Saw that new moon shining from afar. Saw a horse and he was milky white. So I know that things will be alright. Good news, you're bound to do me good. Come right here to me, good news. Good news. You're what I've waited for. I wasn't slated for blue. Good news is welcome to me. Yes, it's welcome to me. So, Mr. Good News, you're about to do me good. Come right here to me, good news. Good news, good news, good news, good news, good news. You're about to do me good. Come right here to me, good news. Good news is welcome to me. Bad news is don't you come to me. So, Mr. Good News, you're bound to do me good. Come right here to me, good. Good news, good news, good news, good news, good, 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 good news tonight.
this time, ladies and gentlemen.
Fred.
Yes, Kenny?
There's a man here to see you. He's a Ford dealer.
A Ford dealer? Kenny, don't tell me we're fired already. Where is the man?
Why, he's right here, Fred. Good evening, Mr. Allen.
Well, sir, I'm certainly happy to meet you.
And I'm mighty happy to meet you, Mr. Allen. We Ford dealers are certainly glad you're working with us now.
Well, I like the way you say working with instead of for. That's what I want to do. Now, if you'll tell me what you want me to get across.
Well, Mr. Allen, if you can impress on all Ford owners that it pays, it costs less to bring a Ford back home for service.
It pays to bring a Ford back home for service. I'll make a note of that.
That's the big point, I guess.
Uh-huh.
You see, we Ford dealers really know and understand Fords inside and out.
Say, I may be able to get Portman to coin a phrase to express that. Something snappy like, your Ford dealer knows your Ford from A to Z.
Very good, Mr. Allen.
Uh-huh.
With your salesmanship and our down-to-earth know-how, I think we're going to get along fine.
Well, thanks a lot for dropping in.
So long, Mr. Allen.
Hey, nice talking. We have just previewed the first 8 bars of Dance Ballerina, played by Maestro Al Goodman and 25 musicians who, now that they're working for Ford, have stopped listening to Chrysler. Portland.
Yes?
Will you hand me that little book on the piano there, please?
This one?
Yes, it's John Steinbeck's new story, The Pearl.
The Pearl? Is it about an oyster?
Well, I don't really know. I haven't read it yet. It cost me 3 clams. I know that.
Why do oysters make pearls?
Well, who knows? I guess it gets pretty dull, shut up in those shells. Oysters probably make pearls just, to pass the time.
But it's so dark in their shells. How can oysters see what they're doing?
Well, they wait until night when the starfish come out. But look, I don't want to argue about oysters or Mr. Steinbeck's book either. I had enough trouble buying it.
Trouble? What happened?
Well, I'm glad you asked me. This would be a very short program if you hadn't said that. Well, Friday afternoon, I started out for the bookshop. Here we are, Chaucer Head Bookshop. Say, there's a picture of Rudy Valley in the window. They must be advertising that new book, The Money Man. Well, I'll go in. I wonder if this clerk is busy. Pardon me, miss.
Just a minute, sir. I'm waiting on this gentleman.
Oh, excuse me.
Miss, do you have that new mystery, the man whose face was on backward?
James Mason. James, what are you doing here at the mystery book counter?
I'm just looking around for ideas, Fred. I might find something I can use in my next picture.
Oh.
I've run across some fascinating crimes in this anthology.
Crimes?
Here's one. The Fatal Finger.
The Fatal Finger? What is that?
There's a murder.
Yeah?
The murderer hides in a pastry shop window under a pile of ladyfingers.
And the police catch the murderer?
Immediately.
Well, how?
When the police examine the pastry shop window...
Yes?
They notice that in among the ladyfingers...
Yes?
There is a man finger.
That is an unusual case.
These others are incredible. Here's one. The man with the glass chest.
Well, what is that?
The man has a glass chest.
Yes?
His wife looks in and sees that the man's heart has stopped beating.
His heart has stopped?
Yes, but his wife doesn't tell him.
And?
The man goes on living for 20 years after he's dead.
Say, these stories are unbelievable.
Now, look at this one. The canary with the neon beak.
The canary has a neon beak?
Yes, the canary flies around at night and puts its beak into keyholes.
Yes?
The neon beak lights up and the canary's owner can see to pick the locks.
Look, James. These plots are not for you. This stuff is for Mr. District Attorney or the mystery chef. Look, if you want a real crime story, James, I have written...
No, thank you, Fred. I think I'll look around a little more.
Well, is that all you do here in New York, James? Try to find mystery plots?
No, Fred, I've been making some guest appearances on the radio. Last month I was on We the People.
We the Peoples? Hey, that must have been an experience.
It was, Fred. I met some weird characters.
What weird characters? Who was on the show?
Well, there was the midget mermaid.
A midget mermaid?
Yes, she was half girl and half sardine.
Fine.
There was a man who, because of the housing shortage, lived in a bass drum.
Lived in a bass drum? Say, his life must have been rather dull.
On the contrary, this chap got quite a bang out of it.
I can imagine.
The most incredible thing I saw was a man with 3 heads and 6 arms.
3 heads and 6 arms? He was on the program?
No, he was in the audience.
Probably the sponsor. What else have you been doing in your spare time?
Well, we had a rousing New Year's Eve, Fred.
We?
Yes. I spent New Year's Eve with my English friends, Basil Rathbone, Sir Cedric Hardwick, and Roland Young.
Oh, say, what did you 4 do, James?
Well, we had reservations at a little English place uptown, Ye Old Kipper-Copper Kettle.
The old Kipper-Copper Kettle, huh?
We arrived promptly at 8:30, put on our paper hats and sat down.
Yes?
And at 11:30...
wait a minute. What did you do from 8:30 to 11:30?
Roland Young was telling a very humorous story.
It took 3 hours for Roland Young to tell a funny story?
No, it took 3 hours to explain the joke.
Oh. Roland was explaining the joke to you fellows?
No, we were explaining it to Roland.
Well, how did you make out?
Oh, finally we broke it up. We're going to meet someday next week and laugh at it.
I see.
Promptly at midnight, I picked up my tin horn and blew a rousing blast.
Yes?
We raised our glasses and drank a toast.
To see the new year in?
To see Aubrey Smith.
Yeah, James, you went the entire swine.
Yes, Fred. And now that the holiday's over, I'm back trying to find a story for my news.
James, believe me, I have the perfect story for you.
What's it about?
Well, as I have written it, the picture opens with a fanfare.
J. Arthur Allen Pictures Limited presents James Mason in The Psychopathic Speculator, or He Made a Killing, but They Called It Murder.
My name is Percy Peters. Tomorrow I shall be hanged for murder. The newspapers will want my story. This is it. For years I've been a gambler, speculating in cotton, oil, wool, and recently grain. Things have been going badly. I owed £50,000. I had to have the money immediately. I conceived a plan that would make me a millionaire. On the night of December 10th, I was seated in the study preparing my strategy when Chung, my houseboy, entered.
Oh, dinner is served, Mr. Peters.
Later, Chung.
Oh, but the Chung make a special English blue plate. A beef and kidney chow mein, a bloater of subcom, mutton chop suey, everything piping hot.
I'm sorry, Chung, but I'm expecting Sir Hubert Hives, the bee baron.
Oh, Sir Hubert Hives.
Yes. Sir Hubert arrives. When he arrives, show him in immediately.
Very good, sir.
If this deal goes through, tonight I shall be a millionaire. Chung, how would you like to be a millionaire?
Not a Chinaman's chin. Chung now.
As I sat there, I went over my plan again in detail. It was perfect. I could wipe out my debts. All that stood between me and £1 million was Sir Hubert Hives.
And I think it's Sir Hubert Hives. Percy, old duck.
Sir Hubert. Have you brought the bees?
Yes, sir, outside in the bee crate, Percy. You can hear them in the hall. I shall open the door. There are 2 million of them.
Excellent, Sir Hubert, excellent.
Yes, oh boy, that'll be 1,000 guineas. I should like to be reimbursed immediately.
You'll have to trust me, Sir Hubert. I'll pay you next week.
I say, no money, no bees. Good night.
Sir Hubert, if you turn me down, I'll lose a fortune. You'll have to let me have those bees.
Over my dead body, Peters.
Very well, if that's the way you want it.
I say, Peters, put down that statue.
I hadn't meant to kill him. But I had to face the facts. Sir Hubert Hives was dead and I was a murderer. Without those 2 million bees, I was lost. I had no choice. I had to brazen it out. I put Sir Hubert's bowler hat back on his head to cover the wound and propped him up in a chair. I placed the broken statue back on the mantel, threw the pieces into the fireplace, and picked up the telephone. Hello, give me the police.
Summoning all vehicles. Calling Detective One Long Pan. Proceed to Percy Peters' residence at Wickenham Terrace, Houndsditch. There's been foul play. Calling One Long Pan.
Greetings and shalom alaikum, kiddies. Detective Detective One Long Pan, China J. Edgar Hoover on job. Shootin' and fussin' and fightin'. Long Pan get confession enlighten. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Long Pan potential Burl Ives. Burl Ives.
I say, Celestial, will you stop that infernal racket?
Who are you, Mr. Kibbitz, sir?
I am Percy Peters, master of this house.
Very good, Mr. Peters. Nobody move. Who is that in chair anticipating? Not moving.
He was formerly Sir Hubert Hives. He's dead.
Dead. Long Pan against you, Mr. Peters, for murder Sir Hubert Hives. Long Pan work fast tonight.
Well, this is ridiculous. Sir Hubert died from natural causes.
Why Sir Hubert died in chair and not on floor?
He was very neat.
Also has hat on.
He knew he was leaving.
Very good. Long Pan not horse around. Long Pan examine body. Oh, you see?
What?
Holy smoke, look at body's hand. Look at leg. Look at face. Sir Hubert, very lumpy.
Sir Hubert was always lumpy. He was a bee breeder.
Bee breeder?
Yes. Only tonight he brought me 2 million bees. They're here in the hall. I'll open the door.
He buys 2 million bees.
Sir Hubert was obviously stung many times in the process of packing the bees. The accumulation of poison must have killed him.
You plenty glib, Mr. Percy Peters, but not fool a Long Pan. Why you catch him 2 million bees?
I'm very fond of honey.
Oh, exceptionally funny, but not true, Mr. Peters.
Evening, Mr. Peters.
Oh, woman in case. Long Pan cherchez la dame. Plot thicken.
Don't be absurd. This is Molly, the upstairs maid.
Molly, confidentially shot the doc and the dumpy. You upstairs maid?
That's right.
Then what you do downstairs?
It's me night off. I'm just coming in.
Oh.
Molly doesn't know anything, Long Pan. She wasn't even in the house.
Exactly. Long Pan, the next question trap you, Mr. Peters. Who was in the house?
Only Chung, my houseboy. I'll ring for.
Oh, very good. Long Pan grilled Chung to fairly well.
Oh, you were ringing, Mr. Peter?
Chung.
Long Pan.
Oh, Long Pan, no see.
Yes, we ding tong ding tong.
Oh, ting lo wo po.
Oh, if I'm no mugu gai pan.
Mugu gai pan. Holy ma.
You two know each other?
Oh, Chung and Long Pan member same chapter. Anime Wong fan club. Formerly lawyer friend Jack Igan.
Oh, yes.
If Chung is your friend, surely you couldn't suspect him.
Long Pan give Chung fast list, routine check. Oh, you see, you catch him on the mandolin coat. You see?
What?
Lewalawa. Lewalawa. Very good, Chung. You maybe explain Lewalawa?
Oh, very simply. Usually Wallawa prepare breakfast, Mr. Peter.
Use Lewalawa prepare breakfast.
Yes, that's right, Long Pan. You see, I like my cereal shot from guns. That's the one he uses.
Oh. Holy smoke, this a gun loaded?
Loaded with wheaties, don't point.
Well, Long Pan, now are you satisfied?
Long Pan seemingly baffled, but not for long. Long Pan examined body. Something very suspicious.
Suspicious?
Sir Hubert sitting in chair, gradually growing taller.
Taller? But he's dead.
Sir Hubert suddenly have long forehead. Longer pan than Long Pan. Look at hat.
He always wore his hat high on his head.
But head 2 feet higher than when Long Pan first come in. Long Pan check, you know. On the hat, Sir Hubert has jumbo-sized lump.
Probably inflicted by a jumbo-sized bee.
No, this lump is handmade, caused by blunt instrument.
You mean?
Long Pan arrests you, Mr. Percy Peters, for murder Sir Hubert High.
Piffle, you say I killed Sir Hubert, but you haven't found a motive or a weapon.
Long Pan soon find weapon. You see here on mantle, statue Lord Nelson, broken in 2, half Nelson. Percy Peters break statue hitting Sir Hubert on medulla oblongata, blow fatal.
But why should I kill Sir Hubert?
You need 2 million bees, Mr. Percy Peters. You owe money. You catch them bees, you make fortune. You fess up.
Yes, I was going to make millions. I got the idea when Petrillo put the ban on record. With 2 million bees, I would have enough wax to keep the jukeboxes in record for years.
Too late, Mr. Percy Peters. Confucius say, man who cannot get wax from bees, many times get wax from Johnson. Like man in incinerator, long pen, hot tonight. Hot tonight. So I want to thank James Mason for being with us tonight. And before we close up our Ford agency for the evening, I'd like to tell you why it pays to bring your Ford back home for service. Frankly, I don't know a carburetor from a spark plug, but it does make sense to trust your car to the man who naturally knows it best. And, of course, Ford dealers know Ford's best. So when your Ford needs service, take it back home to your Ford dealer. Next week, our guests will be Miss Shirley Booth and Robert White. Thank you and good night. Good night. Thank you. Good night.
This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.